the trademark of Bud Grant's Minnesota Vikings was a feared defense, a signature resurfacing now under Jerry Burns as the Vikings strive toward a playoff spot. Now the uncertainty remains at quarterback, where Tommy Kramer's health keeps backup Wade Wilson on ready alert. When you don a Dallas uniform, you do so in the far-reaching shadows of a gloried past. And now the Cowboys are a team in transition whose future appears to be Herschel Walker, and who presently must contend with an unsettled quarterback situation as they seek to refuel a winning tradition for the man who helped create it. Today, a crucial game for both teams, especially for Dallas, who must find a winning formula or their playoff chances could slip away. The Minnesota Vikings on Thanksgiving Day, and a happy Thanksgiving Day to all of you. From all of us, visit the Dallas Cowboys. We're live at Texas Stadium on a rather cool, overcast day, but nevertheless a good day to play. I'm Pat Summerall with John Madden. If the playoffs started today, this is the way it would be. The Bears, the 49ers, and the Redskins would be in. The wild card team certainly would be New Orleans, and the other two spots would be a battle between the Minnesota Vikings and the Dallas Cowboys. This game, perhaps, is more important to Dallas, not to belittle the Minnesota Vikings and their efforts today, but it's perhaps more important to the Cowboys than the Vikings. John Madden, as usual, is here with me. And John, I guess when you start talking about this contest, you talk first about quarterbacks.
Right, and you can't tell Jerry Burns that this isn't the most important thing. As he says, Tommy Kramer is his starting quarterback. He said, but we're going for playoffs here. He said, we're not going for a popularity contest. If he can do it, fine. If he can move the team, great. If not, he said, I'll go to Wade Wilson. He said, we have to get someone in there to move the team.
And the Dallas situation.
Well, of course, we know that Tom Landry is going to start Danny White. I think that's the first thing. Danny White passed the first test. He looked good in the warm-ups today. But I think that the other test is, can they protect him? Can they keep the Vikings off him? If not, I think we'll see Steve Pellor in there, because he's a little better scrambling against a big pass rush. But whether it's Danny White or it's Steve Pellor, if the Cowboys are going to win, they have to do it with this guy here, Herschel Walker, either by running the ball or by throwing it to him.
We're going to find out soon if it's Danny White or Steve Pellor, because the Cowboys have won the toss. Chuck Nelson will kick off for Minnesota. Kelvin Martin and Darryl Clack back deep for the Cowboys. Nelson set, and so are we. And we hope it's been a delightful day for you. High kick, rather short. It's going to be Martin at his own 10. Outside the 20, 25. It'll be first down for the Cowboys. Gugamos made the stop, a 15-yard return, and there will be the Dallas quarterback, at least in the beginning, Danny White. And he'll face this Viking defense: Martin, Thomas, Stafford Mays, and Chris Dolman. They're the four down people. Martin, Studwell, and Jesse Solomon, the linebackers. Henderson, Lee, Harris, and Joey Browner in the secondary. Walker, right side, nothing. Maybe a yard, stopped by Joey Browner. That's a name you'll hear a lot. The offense: White, the quarterback, Walker and Newsom, the two runners, Edwards and Renfro, the wide receivers to begin with. Up front, Tuine, Newton, Rafferty, Crawford, Kerr, Kevin Gogan, and Doug Cosby. It brings up a 2nd and 9 situation. On Thanksgiving Day, Danny White has never lost. Rod Barksdale split out wide to the right. White back to throw. Outside Cosby. Walker, beg your pardon. Incomplete. Jesse Solomon on the defense.
Yeah, it's interesting the Cowboys start that way against Miami. They didn't complete one pass to a wide receiver. They completed one to the tight end, to Doug Cosby, and all the rest of their completed passes were to the running backs.
Most of them to Herschel Walker. That's just what John Madden was talking about, the distribution of the Cowboy passes last week. Out of the spread formation now. Edwards split wide to the left. White from Rafferty in the center. For Edwards deep. And the feet were tangled. No penalty call. Edwards got tangled up with Wayman Henderson. Tripped, fell down, but no flags.
That's where he had the man-on-man. He's looking at there. Wyman Henderson is man-to-man out there on Edwards. And it looked like Edwards pushed him a little, and then maybe Henderson at the back. But I think that's one thing they have to stop calling a penalty on every time. Let those guys play just like that.
Saxon back to punt for Dallas. Good kick. Leo Lewis, who brought one all the way back last week, starts at his own 20, and he's got some room this time. Away from Saxon. Lewis out of bounds by Vince Albritton. But all the way down to the Dallas 42. 54-yard punt. A return of 38.
Yeah, we always talk about the offense, the defense, who's quarterbacking. But in a lot of games in the NFL, they're won and lost by special teams. And a big return by Leo Lewis starts this game off.
That was a key in the Viking victory last week, a block punt. And a punt return for a touchdown by that man, Leo Lewis. Alfred Anderson and Darren Nelson start behind Tommy Kramer. This is Nelson. Right side and hit by Eugene Lockhart. There was some question about whether he'd be able to play or not. He has a deep bruise, but he looked mobile on that one at least. Ed Jones, Brooks, Randy White, and Jeff Coate, the down four. Hegman, Lockhart in the middle, who just made that tackle, and Jeff Rohr, the linebackers. Walls and Francis, the cornerbacks, and Downs and Bates, the safeties. Second down. Kramer back to throw. Has time and gets it out to Darren Nelson. He'll have enough for a Viking first down. Knocked out of bounds by Jeff Rohr. Pickup of 10. Now the Viking offense. Kramer the quarterback. Nelson and Anderson the runners. Wide receivers Anthony Carter and Leo Lewis. Up front it's Zimmerman, Huffman, Loudermilk. Greg Cook has moved into right guard. Tim Irwin and Steve Jordan, a fine tight end. Kramer, as John Madden was saying earlier in the day, they'd like for him to be the starter, but he just hasn't been able to get on track as he did last year. Back to throw is Kramer. Pass was intended and juggled by Anderson, and it's incomplete. Anderson took a couple of pretty good reps, and he's down. Lockhart and Bates with a sandwich.
You know, the thing that Tommy Kramer was talking about is he looked at the tapes from last year, and he found that when he had his great year, he was taking a shorter stride. Now, this year, he's taking a longer stride, and he didn't have the same control.
Thanksgiving Day, we're at Texas Stadium. The last time the Vikings played on Thanksgiving Day was 1969. Weather conditions a little different. There's the lateral from Page to Marshall. Kramer gets straight ahead to Rick Finney. Eugene Lockhart. Vikings won that game, by the way, over the Lions 27-0 in that driving snowstorm.
That's kind of the way the game should be played. I mean, Thanksgiving Day, everyone, you know, the fireplace, the turkey, and football players out there playing in snow, wet, mud, stuff like that. Not carpet.
Third down and 7. Vikings at the Cowboy 27. Darren Nelson is the lone setback. Kramer operated out of the shotgun, going deep. Leo Lewis, the intended receiver, and he very nearly had 6.
Leo Lewis can run because the Cowboys had double coverage on him. Watch them, they have him inside out. Leo Lewis splits them and outruns both of them. That is speed. That
was Williams and Bates back there with him. Vikings within field goal range. It'll be 44.5 yards out. Chuck Nelson with Greg Coleman, who is the punter, holding. 0-0 so far. But a chance for Minnesota to go ahead. Everson Walls recovers for the Cowboys. It was Michael Downs who got the hand on it to block it.
This is how the kicker saw it. Downs is going to come in from the outside. It's a good snap. The ball gets down there, and watch Downs come in there, lay out, and get that block. And Everson Walls bounced it around and picked it up.
And so the Cowboys escape. And they'll have it 1st and 10 at their own 23. Tony Dorsett in the game with Timmy Newsom. Walker is split wide to the left. Dorsett. A couple. Call it 3. David Howard made the hit that stopped Dorsett.
I think that's another thing the Cowboys want to do today is to get Dorsett back in the game. He didn't play against Miami, and they would like to get both Dorsett and Walker in there at the same time. Of course, Walker doesn't like that as much because he likes to be the tailback or running back and not be spread out.
He is spread out to the top of your picture right now. Make it 2nd and 7. That's Dorsett moving in motion. He was in motion. He was headed straight ahead. White is sacked. Ball is loose and the Vikings have it. Joey Browner came up with it. Chris Goldman made the hit on Danny White.
That's the thing that the Cowboys have to handle today is that big pass rush, and that big pass rush from Chris Goldman. He's coming from the outside, number 56. Real good speed, a speed rusher. He was a linebacker who moved to down defensive lineman and could become one of the leading sackers in this league.
And Browner made the recovery. And so the Vikings take over at the Dallas 11-yard line. 1st and 10 from there with 11:30 left to play in the first quarter.
Goldman just run right by Mark Tuinek.
We have Darren Nelson and Alfred Anderson behind Kramer on 1st and 10 at the 11. Kramer fakes. Wide open is Anthony Carter for a Viking touchdown. 11 yards for Kramer. The Vikings take advantage of that turnover.
The time to go for it. You get that turnover, then you come right in there. That defense is fired up. You give them a play fake that run, and then get your speed coming across the field.
Anthony Carter leads all receivers in the NFC in average yards per catch. That one was only 11, but it was for the touchdown.
Tom Landry said yesterday the 2 guys we have to control are their speed guys. That was one of them. Darren Nelson's the other.
For the extra point. And the Vikings take the lead 7-0. Here's the touchdown again.
Well, we'll see the play fake there. You see that? Holds the linebackers, gets them all there. Anthony Carter starts on the left end, comes all the way across the field, and he was wide open all the way.
And so with 11:25 left in the first quarter, it's 7-0 Minnesota.
Holiday greetings from Budweiser. The people who bring you Budweiser wish you and yours the very best of everything this holiday season.
Minnesota 7, Dallas nothing. 11:25 left to play in the first quarter. Pat Summerall with John Madden on Thanksgiving Day. Kelvin Martin back deep for the Cowboys along with Darryl Flack. Chuck Nelson to kick off for Minnesota. Vikings lead it 7-0. 20-yard line, about the 18, a return of 16, hit by Ray Berry. 7-0 Vikings, first quarter. 11-yard touchdown pass from Kramer to Carter.
Let's look at the touchdown again, Pat. Here's Anthony Carter. He comes all the way across. You say, what happened to the free safety? Michael Downs. He comes up on the play fake. Boom! Carter gets right by him. See the play fake? There comes the safety. There goes Anthony Carter.
Danny White gets it out to Kelvin Edwards on first down for a loss of 3.
One of the big matchups here, Pat, I think is going to be Mark Tuinei against Chris Dolman, because Dolman beat him that first one, and of course that caused the fumble, and that got the Vikings their first touchdown.
Tuinei, we've just been told, John, is injured, will not be back, and Darrell Smith has taken his place. A rookie from Tennessee, 6'5" and 280.
And that's going to be a tough job.
White intended for Cosby. White hearing some boos, which he has heard for the last month. In fact, since the strike, he has been listening to those boos.
But you know, he has that wrist thing going, and what happens is he can't bend his wrist, so he can't flick the ball out. And when he throws the ball, sometimes it comes out of his hand. He doesn't even know when the ball leaves his hand.
Really, he's got very little feel in that right wrist. He can't snap it. That's Walker on the move. This is White back in the pocket, this time over the head of Kelvin Edwards. That's the thing he really can't do, Danny White. In a pattern like that, when the ball has got to be zipped in there, he just can't seem to get that done.
No, and I think if he's going to have much more of a career at all, he's 35 years old, but he will have to have that thing operated on in the offseason.
Saxon back to punt. His first punt traveled 53 yards. Leo Lewis brought it back 38. This one is not so good. Bounces to Lewis, who is hit down in a hurry by Jeff Rohr. Was the first man down. A punt of 40. He managed 2 yards on the return, so they'd have 38. So the Vikings will take over again in pretty good shape. They lead already 7-0.
That's great. But we wanted a Bud Light.
Bud Light!
If you want the great...
10:22 left to play in the first quarter. Minnesota leads Dallas 7-0.
I was wondering why people cheer during timeouts. What are they cheering?
I think they might be on camera.
Good point.
Kramer going to work again and goes deep. Headed for Lewis. Incomplete. Covered by Walls. It's been such an unusual season. It seems strange to be talking on Thanksgiving Day about the playoff picture, but it's very valid. If it's finished today, the division leaders would be the Bears, the 49ers, and Washington. But look at all the teams in the NFC who have a shot at those wild card spots. A lot of people watching with interest today.
And if the Vikings win today, there's going to be less and less teams that have a shot.
Here's Kramer back to throw. Has time. Outside to Steve Jordan, the tight end who gets down in Dallas territory. A gain of 15, and that'll be enough for a Viking first down. Jeff Rohr knocked him out of bounds.
Hey, Tommy Kramer had some time there. We'll see the blocking here on Too Tall Jones. That's Tim Irwin going against him. I tell you, he got him stopped and then got that arm going, boom, going back. Let's watch it on the other side on Jim Jeffcoat. That's Zimmerman blocking him there. Good pass protection on the ends. You can't let them get up the field. If you have that, then you can get the ball on those outs.
You can find somebody if you have that kind of protection. This is Nelson hit by Kevin Brooks. Just just as he got the ball from Kramer. No gain. Kevin now starting and playing regularly with the release of John Dutton. They had high hopes for him and still do.
You know, the other guy they have high hopes for is Danny Noonan, who was their #1 draft choice this year. And I think their eventual defense line would have Kevin Brooks playing in Too Tall Jones's spot, and someday Danny Noonan playing for Randy White.
That would seem to be what's going to happen. Here is Kramer back to throw. Rushed by Brooks. That time he was hurried. He tried to get it to Rick Finney. But a good rush by Kevin Brooks that time.
I'll tell you, it was a line stunt, and it's an interesting thing. That's how you get Kevin Brooks that way. You see, he starts inside. Too Tall goes that way. Brooks starts inside and comes outside and gets the pressure. So he starts at tackle. Too Tall takes 2 blockers, and then Brooks comes around that thing.
That's how it's supposed to work. 3rd down and 10. A draw play to Nelson. He's got enough for another Viking first down. Bill Bates made the stop. But the darter, Darren Nelson.
That's the thing Tom Landry was saying yesterday. This is one guy we have to control. Their speed guy, Darren Nelson in the backfield, and the other guy, Anthony Carter. Of course, we've already seen Carter. He got that first touchdown, and Darren Nelson just got that first down.
At the Dallas 27. Minnesota leading already 7-0. Carter and Lewis a bit wide to the left. This is Alfred Anderson. Slips out of bounds at the 23. Michael Downs made sure he continued out of bounds. A gain of 4 yards.
I can see why he's shaking his head. That was an ugly looking run. He's looking for it to see if they put it on the screen. He just ran out of bounds. What kind of run was that?
Slider.
Yeah, but it's not even wet out there, I don't think. He looked like he couldn't get under control. And the next thing, whap, he's out of bounds.
That'll make it 2nd and 6. Here he is.
Just watch him here at the end here. He just can't, he just goes out of bounds and slides down.
Kramer to Finney. Finney inside the 15. Downs made the tackle, but he got 9 yards. Here's another guy. Weighs 245 and has really been a surprise.
Well, Jerry Burns likes him. He's a rookie out of the University of Washington, and he has that size as a blocker and to get that short yardage stuff for you. And on that play, he had some quickness. You see him, pop, boom, he was right through that hole.
1st and 10 at the 14. Anderson has replaced Finney. Tommy Kramer still the quarterback. Back to Nelson. Nelson around the corner, still on his feet. Knocked out of bounds at about the 5 by Lockhart and Jeff Rohr.
Hey, that was either a good move by Darren Nelson or poor tackling by Ron Francis. Because once Darren Nelson gets out, watch Francis. He'll come up the right side of the screen. There goes Nelson. Now watch right here. Francis up there ready to tackle him. Boom, gets an arm. He runs right through that. And Nelson picks up another 6 or 7 yards.
As you said, poor tackling. 2nd and 1. And they're at the Dallas 5. That's Finney over the left side. Fumble. And the Vikings come up with it at about the 2. Nelson made the recovery.
That's the thing that you always worry about with a rookie running back in there on the goal line, because these are always tough yards down there. But the other thing is everyone's going to be in there and go punching at the football. See, you try and get a guy to hold him up. Then that second guy comes in there and tries to pop the ball out of his hand. That's what the Cowboys did. The only thing is Darren Nelson was standing right there.
Vikings got the ball back. It's 1st and goal from the 1. Allen Rice for no gain. Stopped by Steve Diossi that time. 7-0. Minnesota leads Dallas.
Jeff Rohr did a good job at getting penetration. Once you get down in that goal line, the purple jerseys can't allow the white jerseys to get across that line of scrimmage. That last play, they allowed one white jersey to get there, and that was enough to foul up the play.
Brings up 2nd and goal from the 1. Kramer, the quarterback. It's to Anderson. And Anderson doesn't make it. I beg your pardon, it's Finney. And he didn't get in. Lockhart was the first Cowboy to hit him.
This is good goal line defense. Watch it here from ground level. The purple jerseys going after the white jerseys. They don't get any movement back. And then the back guys can come and dive over. Now the Cowboys had about 4 guys diving over. You usually have 1 guy. On that play, the Cowboys had 4 divers.
That brings up a 3rd from the 1. Touchdown for Kramer on a quarterback sneak. He barely got in, but he got in.
Well, that was a good call because what he did is he got there before the divers could get there. If you hand the ball, then the divers have that much room. But watch how quickly Kramer can take the ball and just go right in there behind the center. And now those divers haven't gotten there yet. You see, by the time the divers get in there, Lockhart being the first one, Kramer's already crossed the plane.
Nelson for the extra point with Coleman holding. Trying to make it 14-0. And does. 6 minutes and 15 seconds left to play in the first quarter at Texas Stadium. And the Vikings lead the Dallas Cowboys by the score of 14-0. It's a message from all of us. Happy Thanksgiving. Chuck Nelson set to kick off. Minnesota scoring drive, 12 plays. They went 54 yards. They kept it 4 minutes and 7 seconds. Kramer on the quarterback sneak got the touchdown. Darryl Clack and Kelvin Martin back deep for Dallas. Minnesota, somewhat surprisingly, making it look easy already. 14-0 over Dallas. Cowboys yet to get anything generated on offense or defense. Line drive kickoff goes to Clack. And he fields it at the 1. Breaks away from a couple, and Darryl Clack out of bounds at about the 35-yard line, knocked out by Walker Lee Ashley, but a good return. Penalty flag down back at about the 15 could bring this whole thing back.
On the return, number 30, illegal block in the back, above the waist, half the distance, first down.
Let's watch a touchdown again. You can see why a quarterback sneaks a good play. Look, here's a jumper, here's a jumper, here's a jumper, here's a jumper, but they can't get there by the time the quarterback sneak breaks the plane. See, if you hand off, watch all 4 of those jumpers. 1, 2, 3, 4, they can all get there. If you just take it and fall in, they can't.
Penalty on the kickoff takes the ball all the way back to the Dallas 7-yard line where White hands to Walker. Walker gets out to about the 8. Chris Dolman on the tackle.
Hey, watch Chris Dolman here. You know, he's been a linebacker. This year he's a defensive lineman all year, and this was the thing that he had to learn. 1, to play from a 3-point stance, and 2, to take on a big tackle. I tell you, he did both of those things perfectly.
If you play it that way, he's learned that lesson. 2nd and 9. Walker splits out wide to the right. Andy White back to throw. Hits Renfro at about the 20, where he slides for a gain of 12 and a Dallas first down. Their first. Carl Lee made the stop. Until that play, Minnesota had 80 yards, and Dallas was in the negative figures.
And not only that, that was the first time that they've gotten a ball to a wide receiver in a couple of weeks.
Dorsett in the backfield now, standing behind Newsom. Dorsett, the ball carrier. Nothing there for him.
play that Henry Thomas makes here. He's 97 right there. He's a rookie who started from day one. But now watch him take on the center, play right down the line, keep those knees bent, and boom, just explode into that tackle. I'll tell you, this was probably the biggest surprise on this Viking team.
They still say that. He's been very consistent.
Well, I guess he's never played like a rookie.
Reverse coming to Walker, and he's got some room. And he's got some blockers. Walker out to the 45-yard line and out of bounds by Henderson. But a gain of 25.
And that gets the fans going. A big block by their center, Tom Rafferty. Rafferty got out there, and he made a block at about the 35-yard line. And that was a block that sprung him. See if we can watch it. Watch the center. Rafferty starts down. Now watch him. He's going to sneak out there. Sneaking down the line. And watch 64. He's going to get the block right there. And that gives Walker the sideline and another 7-8 yards.
First and 10, Dallas. They got to hurry. Just barely got it off. This is Dorsett. He got a couple. Jesse Solomon and David Howard made the stop. Dorsett got 3.
The one thing they know that if the Cowboys are going to win, they have to get the ball to Herschel Walker, which they've been done. Look, in the last 2 games, 757 yards. 255 have been Walker rushing, 133 receiving, and so he's been 51% of their total offense.
Brings up the 2nd and 7. Cowboys at their own 48. White going deep. Intended for Rod Barksdale. White under pressure. Was hit by Stafford Mays just as he let the ball go.
I think that was a combination of 3 things. 1, Danny White not really having a strong arm. 2, having a bad wrist. And number 3, having a guy hanging on that arm, Stafford Mays.
Those are 3 pretty good handicaps.
Yeah.
3rd and 7. And they're at the 48. Vikings leading 14-0. 3:12 left to play in the first quarter. From the spread. For Barksdale behind him, and the Cowboys will have to punt.
They're booing here and probably booing Danny White, but there was no one open. That was great coverage by the Vikings because Danny White had time. He had pretty good pass protection. He looked, and couldn't find anyone open.
So Saxon stands back at his own 33. Leo Lewis back at the Viking 10. Lewis signals fair catch, makes it just outside the 20. 31-yard punt.
Let's just look at that 3rd down play. Now this is what Danny White had to look at. He's in the shotgun. You see the motion. Now he's looking. Now see, everything is here. Everything is bunched up. He doesn't have anything in there. He doesn't have one of his guys open. You see, there's still no one open. Look at the coverage here. Look at the coverage in here. So he finally has to go to the short guy. But you have to give credit to the defensive secondary for covering him, or discredit for the receivers not getting open.
And they just haven't been able to get open in the last couple of weeks. Kramer out to Darren Nelson. Nelson taken down by Everson Walls, but very close to first down yardage, almost 10.
I thought Too Tall almost had an interception here. That's just 72. He reads it right now. Look at that. The ball just went right through his hands into Darren Nelson's. When things aren't going right, they aren't going right.
Too Tall's been having a good year. That's one he'll think about for a while.
That was a good read. He started his pass rush, and he saw what was happening and just flattened out.
First down, Minnesota. They lead 14-0. Lewis in motion. This is Kramer. Outside Nelson, who was open. Tommy Kramer looks sharp, not just throwing, but in the ball handling and the execution as well.
You know, we talked about that earlier, how on Monday he watched tapes of last year, and he found that he had a shorter stride in throwing. And this year, he said he was taking a long stride, and he couldn't get the hand up and over. So he changed it on Tuesday and Wednesday and feels that he's back now, maybe close to what he was a year ago.
Which was very effective. 2nd and 10. Kramer back. Cowboys getting a little blitz. He gets the ball out to Darren Nelson, enough for a first down. And a gain of 13. They picked up the blitz very effectively.
Well, they did, and then they have, that's one thing that the Vikings have. They have Anthony Carter on one side, Leo Lewis on the other side, and then out of the backfield, they have Darren Nelson, who not only gives them a good receiver, but a good receiver with speed.
Who's also very elusive. 1st and 10, Minnesota at their own 45. Allen Rice and Finney are the two backs this time. Right back to work. Up the middle to his tight end, Steve Jordan, who can't hang on. He was open.
He went and Bill Bates was hanging on him. You know, Steve Jordan is one of the few players from the Ivy League that's playing in the National Football League. He's from Brown University. In fact, we have two in this game. We have Steve Jordan from Brown, the tight end on one side, and Jeff Rohr, the linebacker from Yale on the other side. Who would have thought?
Jordan played with your son, I guess.
Well, he played before my son got there, but Jordan is one of the heroes up there at Brown. He's an engineer in the offseason, and he's a real role model. I mean, those are the types of people that you can, when you're looking for someone to say, what should we do? A guy like Steve Jordan is a good guy to look at.
This is a Viking timeout. Tommy Kramer not happy with what he got from the sideline. This, of course, traditionally one of the great weekends in college football, as well as the two Thanksgiving Day games in the NFL. Tomorrow, it'll be Alabama against number 7 ranked Auburn at Birmingham at Legion Field, live at 2:30. And two of the best players in college football, Bobby Humphrey, the running back from Alabama, and Jeff Berger, the Auburn quarterback.
You know, I was driving down the other day. We were coming down on a bus from New York to New Orleans, and we had breakfast in Auburn, Alabama, right where it is. And they were fired up about this game like a week ago.
Of course, there has been an ongoing controversy about where that game should be played. Traditionally, it's been in Birmingham. People at Auburn think they ought to have a home game. They don't consider that to be at Birmingham. The people at Alabama think, well, maybe it ought to be in Tuscaloosa.
I'll tell you, when you get a rivalry like that, you can play them in the parking lot. They don't care. You just, what do they say? Get it on. As they say in fights, the referee something before the fight. They say, okay, get it on. Get it on anywhere.
Well, we'll get it on tomorrow here on CBS at 2:30 Eastern Time. Auburn and Alabama. One of college football's great rivalries. 14-0. Minnesota leads the Dallas Cowboys. Rice and Anderson. The two Minnesota setbacks. That's Leo Lewis in motion. And this is Kramer back to throw. Out in a hurry to Anthony Carter. It is out of bounds by Ron Francis. Anthony Carter looks like with a good solid shot he might break in half.
But they call him ostrich legs. And he just laughs about it. He says I do. He said they make fun of my legs. They always have. He said, but they've done some pretty good things for me at Michigan, in the USFL, now in the NFL.
Got him a touchdown today.
Said they better not laugh too hard. They still have to cover me.
Picked off by Walls, and he is picked off by Lockhart. Walls batted it in the air. Lockhart came up with it.
I think that's something the Cowboys needed. It's just anything to change the momentum. They needed a play, and they get it here from Everson Walls. He gets there, hits the ball, bounces off him, and into Eugene Lockhart. But they needed something something to start to turn this thing around. And they got it from Everson Wall.
Boy, you're so right. It looked as if Minnesota was about to tuck this victory away. They were on the move. Walker and Newsom are the running backs behind Danny White. To Renfro. Almost a one-handed catch.
You know, he's doing a good job, Pat, as they put Darrell Smith, who's a rookie tackle, in there at left tackle, replacing Mark Tuinane. He has to block Chris Dolman. And since he's come in the game, he's done a pretty good job. Let's watch him. He's right here on the outside, the left-hand side of the screen. You see, he gets into him, drives him out, has a little hold. Has a little hold, and just drives him right by the quarterback.
That was good execution. 2nd and 10 from the 48. 14-0 Minnesota. 1:08 left in the first quarter. Here's White. Back to throw, gets it outside to Timmy Newsom. Newsom gets across the 50, about the Minnesota 48 for a pickup of 4. Scott Studwell and Jesse Solomon made the stop. Less than a minute left first quarter. Vikings leading 14-0. Bring up a 3rd and 6 situation. They asked Tom Landry what kind of year it's been, and he just shakes his head.
Tom thinks that his team in the whole league has been out of sync all year.
White out of the sprint. Vikings on a blitz. White up into the pocket, gets it outside of Walker. Should be enough for a first. Joey Browner tripped him up. One of the things that Tom Landry was talking about yesterday about why it has not been a better season for Dallas.
Well, as he said, when your offense scores less than your defense allows, there's going to be a long year. Somehow you have to get that turned around.
Yeah. You're lucky to be 5-5, realistically. 14-0 at the end of 1.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. The heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. And by Radio Shack, the technology store.
Back at Texas Stadium, it's the Vikings and the Cowboys. Pat Summerall and John Madden. Vikings leading 14-0. Dallas with it 1st and 10 at the Minnesota 41. 2 tight ends set up this time. White. For Renfro. Incomplete. Henderson on the coverage very nearly had an interception.
You hear on that, the defense was yelling ball, ball, ball for Wyman Henderson, telling him when the ball was in the air. Renfro tried to make an out and up move where you run out first like you're going to run an out pattern, then you just turn it up the field. Henderson didn't buy it at all.
Danny White is 4 out of 12 for 21 yards. And the Cowboy offense is struggling. 2nd and 10 at the Minnesota 41. Fake to Walker. Pass to Walker. Knocked out of bounds by Jesse Solomon. But inside the Minnesota 20 at about the 19, a gain of 22. Walker with a fake draw and then in the pass pattern.
Well, you see the fake there, and then he just continues. He fakes the ball to him, then he continues right through the line and right to the outside. That's a tough thing. The Cowboys were 2 tight ends, 2 backs, and 1 wide receiver. So they have to make the Vikings think they're going to run, and they fake the play, and they can sneak Walker out.
Barksdale and Renfro split wide to the left. Walker behind White. Now Newsom splits to the right. Walker the ball carrier. With a 15. Pickup of 4, Chris Dolan on the stop.
I think the Cowboys need a score here to stay in this game and change things around. And if they're going to do it, they have to do it with Herschel Walker. And they're trying to get into a pattern now where they can get him the ball on a pass, a play pass, that they can run to him, and then get some mixture, then get the ball someplace else, that type of thing. Get something going.
It'll be 2nd and 6 as Dorsett looks on. Newsom and Walker behind White. Fake to Walker. Outside Newsom. Newsom thrown out of bounds inside the 10 at about the 7 by Jesse Solomon. Gain of 8. It'll be 1st and goal, Cowboys. .02 left to play in the first half, with Minnesota leading Dallas 14-0. 1st and goal at the 7 for the Cowboys. Barksdale splits wide left, Renfro wide right. And off to Walker. Penalty marker down as Walker got close. He did get in the end zone. It's signaled touchdown, but a flag is down. Bring this one back. Fred Silva is the referee. I think it was on Cosby.
As you say, that Doug Cosby was complaining before Walker got into the end zone. Landers saying it's tough enough to get something going. We don't need those penalties when we score a touchdown.
Offense, number 84. Holding, 10 yards.
Brings it back to the 17-yard line, where it will be still 1st down. It'll be 1st and goal now from the 17. 13:57 left to play.
You can see Doug Cosby right here. He's the block that they get it, that they call him on. See, he has to block the outside linebacker. I don't know. I mean, that was tough.
Hand off to Dorsett. Dorsett to the 10. Stopped by John Harris. A gain of 7. They got some of it back.
When the Cowboys were practicing yesterday, when they were in the middle of the field, Tony Dorsett wasn't in there. And then they got down here when they were practicing about the 10-yard line and the goal line, and Dorsett was taking plays. And that was a one play that he ran in practice yesterday. It was from the 10-yard line, the draw play.
And now they take him out, and so it's Walker and Newsom. 2nd and goal from the 9, just inside the 10. And off to Walker. Walker hammers down just short of the goal line. Almost the same play that he scored on 2 plays ago.
That's the thing about Herschel Walker. Watch him come into the picture here, how his shoulders get square right now. Now he can go straight ahead or make that cut back against the grain. And then when he gets to some blockers, just run over some. Had he not gotten turned around where his feet went into the end zone, that would have been a touchdown.
That brings it to 3rd and goal inside the 1.
See if Minnesota has any jumpers.
They got some guys back there who look like they're ready. Walker nudges. White signals touchdown, but nobody else has yet. He was very close, and then he got knocked backward.
Well, the Cowboys have those big offensive linemen in there now, and that's one thing they should be able to do, but they didn't. You can see up on the top, they didn't win the battle at the line of scrimmage, and there was no one there. The guy who finally made that stop was Joey Browner.
Looks like they're going to go, and they are. 4th and goal at about the 1-foot line. Quarterback sneak or go to Walker.
I would think some.
White, touchdown. Ruzek. They try to cut the Viking lead in half. And do. 11 plays. The Cowboys kept it. 52 yards, a 1-yard run, quarterback sneak by Danny White, and it's 14-7. The Vikings got their first touchdown as a result of a turnover. Touchdown pass from Kramer to Carter. Cowboys just scored after the interception by Lockhart. Herschel Walker has 68 total yards. At Summerall, John Madden at Texas Stadium on Thanksgiving Day. Roger Ruzek set to kick off. Neil Gugamos deep for Minnesota.
Don't you like that when those kickers have like one color shoe on one foot and another color on the other foot, like Ruzek has there?
I've never figured that out.
Well, I think one is to play, one is to kick with, and they're different type of shoes and different type of bottoms too.
Ruzek's kick to Gugamos at the 10. Knocked out of bounds at the 33-yard line, where the Vikings will take it over after a 23-yard return. 14-7. 11:41 left to play in the first half. The Dallas scoring drive, 52 yards they went after the interception. Took them 11 plays, but it's 14-7 now. Tommy Kramer, the Viking quarterback, he is 6 out of 13 for 73 yards. 1 touchdown. That to Carter. 1 interception. Under pressure from Brooks is Kramer. And that's the first sack by Dallas.
Randy White is arguing there that someone held him. Brooks, the thing that Brooks does is he's here. They're going to give him a play fake. He doesn't go for the play fake at all. He just gets the penetration. You see, they go for the play fake. The center tries to get him. He says, the heck with that. I don't believe it's a run. I'm going for the quarterback.
That'll make it 2nd and 15. Finney and Nelson are the 2 Minnesota runners. Caught him in a shift. This is Finney by Randy White. A loss of 2.
Well, you can feel that the Cowboys are fired up now. Watch Randy White, number 54. He starts in here. He's going to pass rush. He feels draw. He just stands right there and plays off. Watch, he starts in like it's a pass rush. Then he sees it's a draw, just plays off his guard and makes the play. He's reading while he's going. He still looks like he belongs in a pickup truck, though, huh?
I think he stays most of the time there.
Yeah, some kind of cap on.
3rd and 16. Kramer out of the spread. Too tall Jones with the pressure. Darren Nelson screen pass. Ron Francis takes him out of bounds, and the Vikings will have to punt.
Great play by Ron Francis. Remember earlier, Nelson made a move on him, and Francis didn't make the tackle. That time, Nelson went to make the move on him, and Francis just stood his ground, knocked him out of bounds.
Too tall Jones put the pressure on Tommy Kramer. That's Kelvin Martin back deep for Dallas, and Greg Coleman to punt for the Vikings. This one they might do some business with. Line drive kick. To the Minnesota 35. Henderson finally brought him down. 41-yard punt. A return of 38 yards.
You said, Pat, when the ball was in the air, it wasn't a high kick, so it looked like a returnable ball. And the big secret there, Kelvin Martin caught the ball, and there was no one within 10 yards of him when he caught the ball. So then you're going to get the big return.
1st and 10 Dallas at the Minnesota 35. Cowboys trailed by a touchdown. This is Walker. One of the things that they say with the new change in philosophy by the Dallas offensive line is that Walker is just not quite used to it yet and has had trouble picking the hole.
Well, the Cowboys used to be a team that would pull and trap and kick out and a lot of different types of blocking. Now they just man or zone block. Everyone just takes off and blocks an area. And sometimes it takes a while to get used to reading that, to find that pick-a-hole type of deal.
Walker got 2. It's 2nd and 8. White in the grasp of Henry Thomas. Play pass didn't fool any of the Vikings that time.
What happens, you see that Thomas gets penetration. Now what happens here is after the play fake, Thomas gets right up in here. Now when Danny White tries to step up, there's Thomas. You see, they take away, these inside guys will take away any step up. You see, you try and get the step up right there, and there was Thomas.
You can see why they're excited about Henry Thomas. 6'2", 268. He's been a real find.
And he's been a starter from day one. They said he's never played like a rookie.
14. White. Intercepted at about the 1-yard line. Kelvin Edwards was the intended receiver. Interception made by Henderson.
But you're going to see that Danny White has some pressure on him. You see, he can't step up. That was Chris Dolman. 56 was coming from that outside, and as he goes to step up, then he was hit. So that took a little off the ball. Now watch Wyman Henderson here. He's in coverage. He has good coverage, and just that little that was taken off the ball allowed for the interception.
The Vikings will take over at their own 1-yard line. That might have been better than a punt.
And he knows how to make a party laugh. It takes good sense to have a good time. And Spuds knows it's cool to live by one simple rule. Know when to say when.
A reminder from Anheuser-Busch.
Third-ranked Florida State faces Florida. Then Notre Dame's championship hopes have been shattered. Now can the Irish shatter the hopes of Miami? Saturday on CBS Sports.
Little discussion on this play as to whether or not the Vikings should have the ball at the 20 or at the 1.
Well, the Vikings were arguing that Wyman Henderson went into the end zone and they should get it on the 20. But as you can see there, his knee was down, he was down, and the receiver was on top of him, and it was the right call by the official.
So they mark it at the 1. Tommy Kramer and the Vikings, 99 yards away from the other end zone. Kramer. No gain. He's knocked backward. Alfred Anderson, the ball carrier, met right at the line of scrimmage. He might have gotten a yard. Eugene Lockhart was the first man there.
You know, coming out when you're playing defense, it's just like goal line. And what you do is you want to get low, you want to get penetration, you're playing the run, you're playing the fullback, you have everyone up there. You don't want to let them out on this end like you don't want to let them in on the other end.
Finney. And Darren Nelson, the 2 runner. Out to the 5, a little bit of breathing room for Minnesota. Stopped by Jeff Rohr after a pickup of 4. There's the Dallas defensive coordinator, Ernie Stotner, who looks again as if he could still play.
It was interesting. You see Bill Bates there on the sideline. I wonder why he's not in the game. He did have blood on his pants.
Yep.
He's been in there, but those have been running situations.
Here's the handoff to Nelson. He is stopped short of a first down again by Lockhart. He's the first man there. A gain of 2. Lockhart again. There's some doubt about whether he'd be able to play at all because of a deep thigh bruise. But he's got at least showing a lot of mobility today.
But Tom Landry said he made a mistake playing him against Miami. He said he wasn't ready and he shouldn't have played him because in a 4-3 defense, he's the guy that has to make your tackles against the run. And Miami really ate this defense up running.
Coleman standing deep in his own end zone. Martin back deep for the Cowboys. And standing at his own 1:45 now. And again a good return. Flag down on the play. Scott Studwell knocked him out of bounds. The penalty marker was way on the other sideline and a long way away from the ball.
Well, see, with the hat off, when the official has his hat off, that means that someone went out of bounds.
Right.
And he was marked with his hat. So when he throws the hat, and he's marking with that.
That's where he threw the flag, on the far sideline. Player goes out of bounds. He can't come back and block.
Well, so what he has is he has his hat and the flag.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on number 24, Minnesota, 15 yards from the spot and first down.
'24 is Wyman Henderson,
right,
who just had that interception. And we're going to see it had to be something that he did out of bounds.
It was with Everson Wald, Dallas number 24. Whatever happened?
Well, it was on the Cowboys sideline.
So in addition to a good return by Martin, they get an extra few yards because of the penalty. It'll be 1st and 10, Cowboys at the Minnesota 19. 6:51 left to play in the first half. Vikings leading 14-7. Walker and Newsom behind Danny White. To Walker. Walker.
You see how Herschel Walker spun around there? You see how those pads are? How they go all the way down below the 3 and the 4? That's what he does. He tries to give the front of the pads, and then when he spins, watch when he spins here at the end. He wants them to hit side, and right there, the back of the pads, because he said they'll bounce off my front, but they'll bounce off the back of me too. He's one of the few running backs that uses his front and his back.
1st and goal from the 7. Walker again. To the 5. Again, it's Joey Browner who has tackled Herschel Walker on his last 2 carries.
What a difference a quarter makes. In the first quarter, Minnesota had 117 yards, only 4 in the second quarter. Of course, the lead went with that. And then Dallas came back in the second quarter, and if they get their points here, it can be a tie score with Dallas winning the second quarter and the Vikings winning the first quarter.
2nd and goal from the 5. Again, Walker gets away from one man who hit him in the backfield. That was Doug Martin, and Herschel never had a chance. A loss of 4.
He didn't have a chance, but he made a great move on Doug Martin. Now, Doug Martin was a defensive left end, and he came shooting in the backfield. Now, watch how he gets across here. There's Martin, and how Walker makes him miss and gets away from that, I have no idea. It didn't do him any good, but it was a nice limp leg. They call that a limp leg.
There were 2 more Vikings right on the scene. 3rd and goal from the 9 now, and they got to put it up. To the right. White back to throw. It'll be pass interference. It was intended for Barksdale, and he got hit in the back just as the ball got there.
It'll be against number 54, Jesse Solomon.
Number 54, defensive pass interference. First down.
You know, Barksdale was coming in. He was going to do like a pivot in and then go out. Watch 54 right here in the left of the screen. See, Barksdale is pivoting. Then he was going to the outside, and it looked like Solomon hit him just before the ball got there. Of course, there's too many of those penalties. I don't agree with all these pass interference penalties we're getting. You got to let the guys play.
1st and goal from the 6. That's Crosby on the move this time. Is to Walker, and he is hit again in the backfield by Dolman and Studwell before he ever got close to the line of scrimmage.
Jerry Burns has done an outstanding job with this team. You know, during the strike, they lost all 3 of their games. They probably had the worst replacement team in the league. But other than that, they were 6-1 with their regular players.
Dallas takes this timeout. They have 2 left with 4 minutes and 8 seconds left to play in the first half. And the Minnesota Vikings leading the Cowboys 14-7. State takes on freshman sensation Emmitt Smith in Florida and the Gators, followed by Notre Dame and Miami. That's all this Saturday here on CBS. 2nd and goal from the 5 at Texas Stadium. Herschel Walker. Doug Martin was the first man to hit Herschel, who got 2 yards but didn't get in the end zone.
The Vikings are playing very well down here in the goal line. Cowboys are trying to get in behind those big guys they got now. Crawford, Kerr, Kevin Cogan, big 315-pound tackle. But Doug Martin is just slipping them and getting beyond them and getting penetration. It looks like a good matchup, you know, like 315 pounds on 260. But it's not working that way.
Cowboys go with 3 tight ends this time. Here's White. Chase. Touchdown to Walker. Closest defender, 3-yard touchdown pass from Danny White to Herschel Walker.
Well, you can see that Herschel Walker is about 70% of this Cowboy offense today, both running and receiving. There they put him in a slot just to have him run an out pattern and get him the ball. The Cowboys are going to win and move the ball. It has to be with Herschel Walker.
First receiving touchdown of the year for Walker. Roger Ruzick ties it up at 14. 3:24 left to play in the first half, and the Cowboys have pulled even with the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota 14, Dallas 14. Pat Summerall with John Madden. 3:24 left to play in the first half. The Cowboys have just tied it up. There's Bill Bates. We were wondering why he wasn't playing defense a minute ago. Now he's on the kickoff coverage team.
And I'll tell you, if I were a betting man on this Thanksgiving Day, I would bet that he's the first guy down there. I would also bet he's not the fastest guy of those guys, but he'll be the first guy down.
And he'll be involved in the tackle.
He has 1 glove on and 1 glove off. So he knows which hand to hit with.
Short kick by Ruzick, taken by Guggemos. Cowboys down in a hurry. A 10-yard return. Todd Fowler was the first man to hit Guggemos.
Well, it wasn't Bill Bates. You know, someone's going to be the first guy down there.
Well, they're going to have another chance. I think they were offside.
Well, you know that's going to happen. There's going to be a penalty.
26 kicking team. Offside, 5 yards, and a re-kick.
26, Michael Downs. Cowboys are one of the few teams that use their regular starters, either offensively or defensively, on special teams.
You know, a lot of coaches just give special teams the talk. You know, they say that special teams are equally as important as the offense and defense, but they don't give them time in the meetings, and they don't give them the best players and all that. But the Cowboys, as you say, is one of those teams that always have, you know, given it special emphasis and also given it the best players.
This time they'll have to do it from their own 30-yard line. Herschel Walker over on the sideline. Nothing physically wrong.
Look at those shoulder pads. I mean, those pads go from his shoulders to his waist. I bet Bates is the first guy down on this one then.
Ruzick's kick this time goes to the left. That might go out of bounds. And it does go out of bounds at about the 1-yard line. Now they have the option under the new rules Either make them kick again or bring it out to the 35.
You can see the way they're all running. Of course,
Kick off. Out of bounds. Ball will be placed 30 yards from the kick. First down.
So you know that's the thing that they're going to do is take it there.
No re-kick after free kick out of bounds. The ball is spotted 30 yards from the kicking point. And remember, they had been penalized back to the 30. So the Vikings will start at their own 40. You got all that?
Yeah, I do. And it's a way that you don't have to just keep kicking the ball. And those kickers can't aim for the out of bounds anymore.
Reverse to Alfred Anderson. Brought down by Bates, but a good gain. 16-yard pickup on the reverse. And the Vikings move into Dallas territory with 2:54 and the clock running in the first half.
That's a good play. You usually see reverses are run to wide receivers or slot backs. That one was run to the fullback. And that's a lot like the old Statue of Liberty. Remember that?
Except they don't put the ball over their head.
Nope.
Just turn around and take it. Here's Kramer. Pressure. Jordan, the tight end, makes the catch. Brought down by Downs, but a gain of 9.
You wonder why they wet the field down. You see how the field is wet there, and you can see the wet spots and the dry spots. Then you wonder how a guy like Downs can get a good slide like that. You see, he had like 8 yards after he made that tackle. He had an 8-yard slide.
Kramer hurrying, trying to get the play off before the 2-minute warning, and he did. No, he didn't. He didn't. The clock got down to 2 minutes before they could get the play underway, and so that's where we'll stop now. Both teams have 2 timeouts remaining in the first half, and we're tied at 14. Two minutes remain in the first half. The Vikings and Cowboys in a crucial battle. Tied at 14. Both have 2 timeouts remaining. Vikings have the ball at the Dallas 36. Second and 1. Kramer pump fake. Flags fly everywhere. Everson Walls had bought the fake from Anthony Carter, and he was gone for 6 if he didn't grab him.
Everson Walls had to do that. He knew, because that was going to be a pump fake and up, or an out and up, or a hook and go. And Walls, he started to get by him, and he just grabbed him.
Defensive holding on number 24, 5 yards, first down.
Let's watch it out here. It's right here. You get here, and then he's going to go up and get here. Walls sees it, takes a bite, can't recover, so he just grabs him there. We'll watch the outside, and we'll see the move. He starts to fall down. That's why he did it. He fell down, realized he couldn't cover him. So if I can't cover him, I better grab him.
That was 6. Kramer under pressure. Eugene Lockhart. And Randy White, I believe. Jeff Rohr also swarm around him.
Well, you don't see this a lot, but Lockhart here, that doesn't blitz a lot. And when he does, when he comes, then they don't account for him because they have to get everything else blocked here. So they have the blitz coming here, Lockhart right up the middle. When Kramer goes to step up, that's all he sees. Watch, the center pulls out to block the outside linebacker, and that's what freed Lockhart.
Brings up second down and 16. The ball back at the 37-yard line. Lewis, the man in motion. This time, the protection is good, but Kramer is not. Intended for Darren Nelson. Incomplete. Ed Jones put a little bit of pressure on Kramer.
See, what the Cowboys do is they like to stop you on first down, then they go into that 4-0 defense. And you can see they bring in 3 defensive backs, take out all 3 of their linebackers. So they got the sack, and then they give them the 4-0 defense, and that's 2 down.
Third and 16, just the 4 down lineman. Now they show blitz, but the Vikings managed to
in behind him, but that doesn't get there, and that was a great catch. I mean, that was a throw that where only Carter could get it, Francis couldn't.
From Tommy Kramer from 37 yards out, the Vikings take the lead again.
It looked like he had to move his head to let it come in over his shoulder.
Chuck Nelson to attempt the extra point with Greg Coleman holding. That makes it Minnesota 21. 14. Minute 12 left in the first half.
Let's watch Anthony Carter on that again. He's going to be here on Ron Francis. He gets him, gets Francis to the inside, then he makes a corner move on him. Before Michael Downs is going to help, he can't get over. He gets Francis turned around, makes a good move, and goes to the corner. See, Francis is off because Carter has great speed. So he gives him a cushion. But Carter has the speed to break down that cushion. You see where he turned Francis? Turned him. Perfect throw. Downs couldn't get over there. See right there, when Francis got inside, then he went with a turn. That was the thing that beat him. And Downs just didn't have the speed to get over. The free safety, he was watching Carter all the way and didn't get there. So when you have a guy like Carter and a guy like Kramer throwing when he's on, you can still beat a double coverage.
So Nelson set to kick off in the direction of Martin and Darrell Clack. 1:12 left in the first half. A grounder that Clack fields at about the 7. To the 24. Freeman made the tackle. There's the flag down on the kickoff return. No Thanksgiving good wishes in that group. Silva trying to get them apart.
Well, there's some good talk, too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're hitting and talking.
We'll find out who the turkey is.
Look at Joey Brown in there. He was pounding his fist and talking.
The run back, number 59. Personal foul. Slugging to the head. Half the distance. First down.
Slugging to the head on Thanksgiving Day?
Yeah, and with the head having a helmet on it.
Jesse Penn was the culprit.
Yeah, if you were going to slug, watch 59 right there. That's Jesse Penn. Well, that's in a blocking motion now. Now there's a slug. But if you're going to slug someplace, you slug to a place that has cloth on it, not helmet.
Or face mask. Andy White out of the spread. Back at the goal line, the screen passes to Walker. Another flag down on the play. Ball got away from Walker. Scramble, but a penalty marker down.
Looks like Kevin Cogan got in there and got it. Yep, he just brought it out of there. Number 66. Looks like there's also another penalty against the Cowboys. When you weigh 315 pounds and you jump on a fumble, you're lucky the ball comes out and still has some air in it. They might not play with that ball anymore today.
Offense, ineligible, downfield, 10 yards, still first down.
Cowboys pushed further back. That's their 101st penalty. That's the most in the NFL, and a couple of times that's really killed them.
You know, that's one thing that you don't expect from a Tom Landry coach team or from the Dallas Cowboys, which of course is one and the same, but to lead the league in penalties.
First and 17, the ball back at the 6. 21-14, Minnesota leads. On the draw play, Walker gets just a couple. Doug Martin was not fooled. Now the Vikings start calling timeouts.
Well, they should, because now they can see that the Cowboys are really backed up and they're just going to run out the clock, and the Vikings want to get it and have another shot. And they still have one timeout after this.
Don't forget, at the half, Brent Nerve And a live interview with Jimmy Johnson, the head coach at Miami University, and Lou Holtz. They both are live, and Brent will be chatting with them at the half. Right here, it's 21-14 with Minnesota leading Dallas.
Those coaches looked good, didn't they? Looked like they were cleaned up. Had a tie on.
Happy not to be playing today, to wait till Saturday. 50 seconds left to play in the first half. Dallas ball to huddle in their own end zone. 21-14. The Vikings lead it. They have one more timeout left. Danny White back in the spread formation again. To Newsom. Newsom bangs out to about the 15. Neil Gugamos stopped him after a pickup of 9, and Minnesota uses their last timeout.
Yeah, that was a big play for the Cowboys because they got the ball out to the 15. So now their punter is going to have room. You know, we still have that rule where you can fair catch and then get a free kick. But I think that play, that put them out of that area, so we're not going to get it. See, so the Cowboys still have a third down coming up, another play. Minnesota has no more timeouts.
Third down coming up. They need 7 for the first. The ball at the 16. 21-14, the Vikings lead.
I think this would have to be a running play because with the Vikings not having any more timeouts, they could probably just have one more play here.
And be able to run out the clock without having to punt, giving the Vikings a shot at either blocking it or at a punt return. White, though, into the spread formation again. Not a running play. Screen pass to Newsom. Newsom gets out of bounds, stops the clock, gets the first down. Jesse Solomon shoved him out of bounds. He picked up 9. Another very important play.
Well, the Cowboys are going for it now. I think Tom Landry sees with a first down. The Cowboys now have 2 timeouts remaining. So if he can get another couple plays, he may get a shot at a field goal here before halftime. You know, yesterday I'm talking to Tom Landry and the Cowboys. You just got the feeling of urgency that this is really a championship game for them.
Well, with their playoff hopes pretty much resting on what happens here today. White outside to Walker. He gets out of bounds, stops the clock. Joey Browner covering him. He only got 3 yards.
Yeah, that's the thing. They have to get the ball up the field. You realize all this stuff they've done, they're still not to the 30-yard line.
It seems like they're getting something done, but they still got a lot to do.
Well, from here, it'd be an 87-yard field goal.
That's a lot to do.
You have a cannon.
2nd and 7. Here comes the Viking blitz. Ball slipped out of Danny White's hand.
That'll be an interesting thing. Is that an incomplete pass or a fumble? His arm was going forward in the passing motion. It's an incomplete pass. If it fell out, it's a fumble. And they've ruled it a fumble. One of the problems he has with that wrist, he really doesn't have a feel. He doesn't know when the ball leaves his hand. Watch him here. He's bringing it back, and the ball goes out the backside. I think he could have been hit there by Chris Dolman.
Could have been. But it also looks like it just slips out. No, it just slipped out.
Yeah, it just slipped out. It slipped out the back end. Usually the ball goes out the front. That one went out the back end on him.
Who would have thought? 23 seconds left to play in the first half. And the Vikings with a chance to put some more numbers up there. Kramer out of the pocket, chased by Brooks, and throws it away and stops the clock. And there's a penalty marker down. Flag comes flying. It has to be called against Brooks.
You know, Brooks did his job at the end. He's saying that Tommy Kramer threw the ball away.
And I think the ruling, unless they review it, is going to be just that.
I don't know. I think there could be another flag there. See, they're doing a lot of pointing. Look at them. They're all pointing. That's the good news. The bad news is they're all pointing to different places.
Tommy Kramer, conversation with Fred Silva.
Intentional grounding, number 9. Loss of a down. Be second down.
What do you want him to do? Get killed? The guy has to be able to throw the ball away. Watch Brooks chasing him here. What do you want him to do? Just stand there and hold that thing like that and then be thrown into the ground? Yeah, that's a poor call.
Kramer over the sideline. Chuck Nelson in to attempt a 48-yard field goal now for the Vikings with 17 seconds remaining in the first half. Minnesota leading 21-14. Nearly blocked. No good. Wide left. Here's the effort. Williams around the corner is the Cowboy who got close. Was not deflected, just wide left. So the Cowboys take over with 11 seconds left to play in the first half, trailing 21-14. White, Newsom, nothing. That's the end of the first half with the score. Minnesota Vikings 21, the Dallas Cowboys 14. All right, Brendan, I think if you were with us at the beginning of the show, one of the key things that John Madden felt was that the Cowboys are going to be successful. They have to utilize the many talents of Herschel Walker.
Well, you know, they really don't have any speed on the outside, and Herschel Walker is their speed guy. So if they're going to win, they have to get the ball to him, and they have to move him around. And just look at the different places that he's lined up. He was a wide receiver for 8 plays out there. He was in the slot for 3 plays. And he was at the wing for 5 plays, the fullback for 3 plays, and the tailback for 22 plays. So they don't want the defense to know where he's going to be.
Well, let's don't forget about who's winning the game.
That's right. And then you see what he did from those positions. You see from wide receiver, he had 25 yards running on a reverse, 29 yards passing, and then you see his rushing yards from the different positions.
The Minnesota offense now. Tommy Kramer, 9 out of 17 for 123 yards, 2 touchdowns, both to Anthony Carter. So the key has been the success of Kramer to Anthony Carter.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? MCI. And by John Hancock Financial Services. Real life, real answers.
Summerall, John Madden, we're set to start the second half here at Texas Stadium. Roger Ruzek's kickoff sails to Neil Kugamos. He takes it right at the goal line. Is hit at about the 22 by Steve Diassi and Everson Walls. 21-14. Minnesota leads.
Watch Bill Bates go down there. You know, sometimes you rush down there, and it's not too much fun. Watch, he gets by this block, but watch what's up next. It's what they call the wedge. It's just 4 or 5 guys, and they knocked him right back where he came from.
That's what you call being run over, steamrolled, whatever you want to call it. Francis led the defensive play.
This is what Tommy Kramer did in the first half. You see, under 10 yards, he was 4 for 10. He's not a big short passer. Then you look 10 to 20 yards. You get up the field, 4 for 5 for 48 yards. 0 for 2, 21 to 30. And, of course, 1 for 1. So the big thing with Kramer is he was able to get the ball to a speed guy, Anthony Carter, and 2 touchdowns.
3 catches Carter had. Second down now and 16. The ball back at the 17. Vikings up by a touchdown. Kramer spins out to throw. Knocked away by Francis. Intended for Anthony Carter. Good defensive play.
Notice that most of the time the Vikings are going to work. The guy they're going to work on, of course, you're going to Anthony Carter, but they're also trying to work on the rookie Ron Francis, who I think is a real good cornerback in this league, and someday is going to be a top one. When you're a rookie, they're going to give you all the different looks.
They always have. Just that word rookie makes them want to go to work on you. Third down now. 16. Kramer back to throw. Under pressure, ball straight up in the air. Yeah, Jones. All over Kramer.
I'll tell you what, Too Tall, when he gets that thing going and get motoring, he can put a lick on you in the other end. Watch him against Irwin. He starts outside, then he comes back in, and he's coming right up in to Tommy Kramer as he throws the ball.
He was lucky to get it out of there. Here's Coleman. Back to punt. Kelvin Martin back for Dallas, standing at his own 40. Off the side of Coleman's foot again. Martin at the 45. Joey Browner down first. 38-yard punt, 4-yard return. Cowboys will take over at their own 48.
You can see from 1 to 10 yards, 8 for 11. So most of his passes have been under 10 yards. 11 to 21 for 3. Over 20 yards, he hasn't completed a pass.
Tony Dorsett in the backfield with Newsom now. White outside to Walker. Herschel gets to the Viking 40. Henderson knocked him out of bounds. Gain of 12.
Something, he is an amazing guy with that size that Herschel Walker has, and to be able to move it that quickly, that's a pretty good package.
I don't think anybody thought, John, that he was going to turn out to be the receiver he's turned out to be.
When you get a great athlete like that, even though he hasn't been a receiver, you usually have a pretty good shot at teaching how to be one.
Here's Dorsett. 4. Scott Studwell came out to make the stop. Well, the Vikings slow getting up. Paul McDonald, the third Dallas Cowboy quarterback, signaling the play. That's Scott Pallure on the left, McDonald on the right.
You just line up on either side, and then with everyone signaling today, you have to have more than one guy signaling.
Walker split out wide to the left this time. Dorsett in the backfield. The handoff is to Dorsett. There's nothing there for him. Henry Thomas for a loss of 1.
You talk about Herschel Walker and the Cowboys now, and Tony Dorsett is kind of a forgotten man on this team. And you think of all the great years that he gave the Cowboys, 11 years, and all the yardage that he's gained and passes that he's caught. And the offense is now Herschel Walker's, but for a long time it was this guy.
Oh, boy. He was the guy you had to stop.
We do those games and everyone would say the first thing we have to do is stop Dorsett.
White gets away from the run. Throws in the direction of Renfro, incomplete. And Dallas will have to punt.
That's the problem the Cowboys have is whether it's the wide receivers not getting open or the quarterback not being able to hit him, they just can't get those big third down plays when they have to.
That's an element that's been missing since the heydays of Tony Hill and Drew Pearson.
Well, they have a guy, but of course he broke his leg in training camp, and that's Mike Sherrard.
Here's Saxon at midfield. Trying to kick a knuckler. And it goes into the end zone. Just couldn't quite get down there soon enough to bat it back, and the Vikings will take over at the 20. Good job by their defensive unit. 21-14, Minnesota lead. Begins next Sunday with the NFL Today at 12:30 Eastern Time. The first game of our doubleheader will be Green Bay at Chicago or Philadelphia, New England. New Orleans goes to Pittsburgh and St. Louis visits Atlanta. And then the second game, the Giants will be at Washington. That's where John Madden and I will be. Danny Noonan has replaced Randy White in the Cowboy defense. Pitch was back to Alfred Anderson, who broke away from Kevin Brooks, who finally did manage to hang on and get him back. Wade Wilson is now the quarterback for Minnesota.
You know, they said that Tommy Kramer's neck is stiffening up. And I think it's from that shot of Too Tall Jones. Remember the third down play? Let's watch it. Too Tall comes right up the middle here. Now watch the hit that he puts on Kramer. And if anything's going to put something in your neck, it's that kind of hit.
That would make you stiffen up. Here's Wade Wilson back to throw. Noonan on the rush. He gets the ball, however, to Anthony Carter. Complete. Gain of 19.
Well, there's Wade Wilson. He's had a lot of experience this year. He's been playing a lot. Tommy Kramer, remember, didn't come to training camp. He was in an alcohol rehabilitation center. So Wade Wilson got to play then. He missed the first two preseason games. Wilson played then. Kramer got hurt in the third preseason game. That's where he had the first of the neck problems. So Wade Wilson has played. So you're not seeing a guy who hasn't played.
Basically, Kramer just had no training camp because of those problems. Wilson to Anderson. Not much there. Gain of 3 perhaps. Jeff Rohr was one of the defenders. Bates and Jeffcoat also there.
You know, Wade Wilson said after last week's game, Kramer was injured in last week's game. He hurt his hand. Wilson had to come in. Then they took him out and put in Rich Gannon. And then they put Wilson back in. And Wilson was saying, you know, the way things are going here, you're always looking over your shoulder. And you can't play quarterback that way. You're afraid that every play has to be perfect.
That's always been the case when they've ever tried. Any team's tried to go with 2 quarterbacks. Here's Nelson. And he could be off to the races. Darren Nelson. Touchdown, Minnesota. Caught by Walls right at the goal line, but a 52-yard touchdown sprint by Darren Nelson.
Let's watch the blocking up front. It's a trap play. And we'll see the block and it springs him. The right guard pulls to the left. In fact, they double-teamed Jeffcoat. That gave Darren Nelson just a chance to get through. And when he got through there, he outruns everyone.
They got Danny Noonan blocked as well. And as you said, double-teamed Jeffcoat. That makes it 27-14. And now Chuck Nelson for the extra point, with Greg Coleman holding, and it's 28-14.
Here it is again. There's a trap. There's a block on Noonan. That creates a hole. And then here's a run by Nelson. Now that was some move that he made there.
52-yard touchdown run by Darren Nelson. Puts the Vikings back in front by 14. 28-14 now. The Vikings lead with 10:34 left in the third quarter. Chuck Nelson set to kick off. Darryl Clack and Kelvin Martin back deep for Dallas.
NFL, so we ought to look at it again. We see the pull in the trap here, start a double team, come off on here in the linebacker, and Darren Nelson just runs off that trap and makes a heck of a move on Michael Downs. You see the off-guard pulling, start a double team, come off. Everyone's blocked perfectly. Watch this move.
52-yard touchdown. Cowboys with the ball now at their own 31. Danny White still the quarterback. Hands Walker left side. Jesse Solomon was the first man to hit him. Darren Nelson's day and Herschel Walker. 61 yards rushing, 47 yards receiving. Nelson has outdone him again.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is you always know what you have to stop. Like Tom Landry said, we have to stop their speed. Anthony Carter and Darren Nelson. Now, it's easy to say on Wednesday, and when you come to do it on Thanksgiving, they do, and all you can say is, I told you so.
We knew what we had to do. We just couldn't get it done. Barksdale takes the pass from Randy White, a pickup of from Danny White. A pickup of 21 and a Dallas first down.
Hey, watch Carl Lee, number 39, the corner. He is really sold that that ball's going deep. Look at him. He does a double clutch to get deep. You're not going to get him. You're not going to get him deep. And then what happens? You get your ball in front of him. It was a good move by Barksdale.
Word from the Vikings is that Tommy Kramer has a bruise on his arm. Could come back if necessary. First down, Cowboys at the Minnesota 45. First man to hit Herschel. Pickup of 2. Bring up a 2nd and 8 situation at the Minnesota 43-yard line. 8.5 minutes left to play in the third quarter. The Vikings ahead by 2 touchdowns. 28-14.
Charge. You see, he gets his outside shoulder inside of Darrell Smith's shoulder and then just drives those legs and keep going.
Mishandled the snap. That's Lilja now at center. Rafferty played most of the first half. They've been alternating Lilja with him. And that was the cause for the fumble exchange. Rafferty's back now. Here's White. Pass caught by Kelvin Edwards. An amazing catch. David Henderson on the coverage with a Dallas first down and a gain of 28 yards.
Kelvin Edwards against Miami, he got dehydrated and he couldn't play. They had to take him out of the game. Tom Landry said he just got too excited and he wants him to be more relaxed because he thinks as he gets experience, he can be that big play guy. He stretched out for that one right at the end. He never did regain his balance.
First and 10, Dallas. At the Minnesota 21. It's back to Herschel Walker. And that pursuit is out there in a hurry for the Vikings, led by Carl Lee. They might have had an idea that Walker's going to carry the ball.
Well, they have the idea, and they're getting all over him. He's having a tough time keeping his clothes on. Look, now you're looking like football, the way, it plays where the 3 and the 4 stretched out and go in different ways. Shirt tails hanging out the back. Got a little tug in the front. The way the old running backs used to look.
2nd and 11. White has to come out again, and again he is sacked. Stafford Mays.
that's the coverage. You watch it here. Stafford Mays is going to be right there in the middle of the picture, but Danny White was looking, and at first he didn't have anyone open. There was no one to throw to. And then by the time he thought he could see someone, of course, the protection broke down.
3rd and 18. The ball back to the 29-yard line now. Clock running with just over 6 minutes left to play. Handoff is to Walker. Herschel bangs down to the 20. It'll bring up a 4th down, a gain of 9. Neil Tugamos on the stop, and Ruzick. Minnesota defense has been tough against all runners. Nobody, in fact, this year has gained 100 yards against them. And if they keep going like they're going, it looks like that's going to stay intact. Ruzick from 38 yards out. He is 9 of 10 from this distance. Steve Pallure is holding. He is good again. Hit the upright and bounced in. That makes it 28-17. Minnesota leading the...
Matt, I've always thought this kicking was easy. Look, you start here in the right hash mark, and you just kick it here over to this post. Now, anyone can kick it straight through, but it takes real talent to hit it here, bank it in. The old bank shot. So you start it on the right hash mark, kick it for the left post, just like this, and then you're going to hit the inside of it, hit it right here, bank it here, whap it into here, and you get 3 points for it.
That does take talent.
That's the way Willie Moscone told me you do it.
So it's 28-17. Minnesota leading with 5:08 left, 3rd quarter. Ruzick's kickoff. Dugamos at the 6. Is cut down just outside the 20. Don't forget, tomorrow CBS Sports continues its holiday weekend lineup. Great football when 2 Southeastern Conference rivals meet in a game that'll have a major impact on the bowl picture. 18th ranked Alabama versus 7th ranked Auburn. It's tomorrow live at 2:30 Eastern Time right here on CBS. Bobby Humphrey, one of the most exciting runners in college football.
And that's a record there. That's the longest bank shot on Thanksgiving Day in the history of the league.
I'm sure you're right. Nelson taken down by Randy White. Maybe
Nelson has to feel that one. Did you see Randy White? He put out that right arm, and that was a hook. Watch Randy White. He's going to hit into his guard. Now watch him come down the line, and watch this right arm that he puts on Darren Nelson. Then takes him down. That was the end of the line.
No gain on the play, 2nd and 10. Wade Wilson back in the pocket. Pass incomplete. Intended for Carter, deflected by Jeff Rohr.
So what they're doing is they're getting Ron Francis some help out there in the zone. Is they're getting their linebacker getting Rohr out there underneath, because they know that they're directing most of the passes at Francis today.
28-17, Minnesota leading. Clock now stopped with 4:16 left, 3rd quarter. Brooks is out. Noonan is in alongside White. Wilson out of the spread. Back to throw. With time. Walls with the interception. Intended for Hassan Jones, but Everson Wall caught it right in the pocket.
That's one thing about Everson Walls. You're going to get some on him. He'll fall down as he did earlier and grab a guy. But if you throw too many over there, he's going to come up with the interception. Because one thing, he has very good ability to cover, but the other thing, he can catch the ball.
Got great hands.
Everson Walls, one of those guys you're not going to
And again, Danny White, still the quarterback. Fake is to Walker. Pass to Cosby. Cosby inside the 10, out of bounds at the 7. Joey Browner knocked him out of bounds. Cosby might have gotten away with a little shoving and pushing.
It looked like as he was breaking loose. It looks like as he was breaking loose, and he did have a little push off there. Let's see if we can start it. Here's Doug Cosby here. He's going to come up and across here, and it looks about right here that he gets a little push just before he breaks open. So he starts in. Now he comes up. Now he's coming across. He has good coverage here. He hit with his right shoulder, bounced the defender off him, and then got open. That's a veteran play.
First and goal from the 6. Cosby's first catch today. Here's Herschel Walker. Hit behind the line again by Chris Dolman. Tell you what, there's something about that number 56 that means you better look out.
You know, Chris Dolman started out as one of those guys, a linebacker like that Lawrence Taylor mold, and when they moved him to defensive end, he didn't want it. He says, I don't want to be one of those guys that just run up the field. I want to be a football player. Floyd Peters talked him into it. Then he started getting sacks, and he started liking it.
Second and goal from the 8. White back to throw. Has to come out of the pocket for Cosby, over his head. Covered by Chris Martin.
That's a tough pattern to run down there. I'm surprised they ran it that close, because Cosby, they ran it out and up to him. And when you're down in that close, you don't have that much area to run up after you run out.
So that'll bring up a third and goal from the 8. Walker is split wide to the left this time. Barksdale and Renfro to the right. Newsom behind White. Renfro, touchdown. With that touchdown pass to Renfro, broke Roger Staubach's record for number of completions in a career. What a time to get it. 4 plays, 36 yards, 59 seconds, following the interception by Everson Wall.
You know, that had to be a great throw to Mike Renfro, because he was double teamed, and Danny White had to zip it in there between the 2 defenders.
Here's Ruzic's kickoff to Guggemos. That's the 3. Behind the wedge. To the 33. Michael Downs made the stop for a return of 31.
That's why it's a touchdown again. Here's Mike Renfro. He's going to run the post right here. He's being doubled here and here. Here's Guggemos. I have no idea what he's doing. He just stands there flat-footed, and he doesn't go for the ball. But Danny White makes a good throw right in here. Guggemos looked back at the quarterback, got kicked in the face.
I think he didn't look as if he thought the ball was going to get there that quick. Renfro made a good play as well. Here's Wade Wilson, back to throw, and chased by Brooks and out of the pocket. Wilson takes off and is run out of bounds by Bates. Scramble for no gain. Brooks got loose and flushed him out of the pocket.
This is a tough thing for a defensive back. Watch Bill Bates here. Is it a pass or a run? You see, here you think it's pass, pass, pass. You're playing a zone, and now you realize the quarterback's going to run with the ball. So you go from playing pass defense to get up and force on a run.
Second down. Early in the day, Kansas City beat Detroit 27-20. Wilson back to throw again. Loose is Randy White. Wilson chased by Bates. Finally throws it out of bounds. No flag on the play this time. Randy White got loose.
You know, an interesting thing is Jim Jeffcoat. Watch this. Here's Jeffcoat. Here's Darren Nelson coming out for a pass. Jeffcoat sees him and grabs him here. And that's who Wilson was trying to throw to. But watch the defensive end. He starts up the field. Now watch him turn right here. You see, grab Nelson. Now Wade Wilson couldn't throw to him.
And he had Randy White right at his face. 3rd and 10. Vikings operate from their own 34-yard line. Again, Wilson back. Gets the pass out this time to Carter, and he's got a first down and more. Jesse Penn brought him down, a pickup of 20. And a Minnesota first down.
This time what they do is they put Nelson outside. He goes in motion and he gets outside of Carter on the left side. Then Carter becomes the inside guy and runs that corner pattern. He's a good receiver, Anthony Carter. I like him. I mean, he has moves and speed and fight and spirit in him and all those things.
And he knows how to get open.
You know who his coach was in the USFL? It was Fred Biletnikoff.
Who knew all those things, too. A throwback across the field to Steve Jordan. And Jordan hammers to the 30-yard line. Stopped by Francis. Well executed play. 17-yard gain. Another Viking first down.
I'll tell you one thing. He got a good block out here. It was the center, Kirk Loudermilk, got out. You know, they fake one way, then they bring their center out. And Loudermilk is the guy that gets out. Watch 63. See, they fake him there. Now they come out. Now you get the tight end and your center 1-on-1. Watch Loudermilk. He got that block, and that freed Jordan.
Straight ahead. Alfred Anderson hit by Danny Noonan. Francis, the rookie cornerback that they've been working on, hurt his shoulder on the previous play, and he's out. Place has been taken by Manny Hendricks.
Well, of course, they were working over there in their game plan on Francis. Then when you get a substitute, Hendricks, who is also a rookie, then you're going to go to work on him. Well, he's a second-year guy. He was a guy who was a basketball player. Remember that they made a defensive back out of him.
They've done that a couple times. Second down and 9 at the Dallas 28. Wilson looking in that direction. To Hendricks. Pass incomplete. It was to Carter. Hendricks, the defender. And a flag on the play.
They're going to work there anyway. Then they see Hendricks come in and they just go to work on Carter. See, now he started, made an out pattern, and then he came back a little. That was a heck of a catch. The thing is, the ball was out of bounds.
Number 73, illegal use of the hands to the face. 5-yard, first down.
Penalty called against Danny Noonan. Yards and, more importantly, a first down.
Now there's a big, strong guy. Bench presses over 500 pounds, that Danny Noonan, and you see, he has a tough time keeping all his parts in the suit.
Tom Landry says his future is all in front of him.
He has bulges all over. Look at him. Those arms. Look, can move a family in on those.
First down, Minnesota. Handoff straight ahead to Anderson, who nudges it inside the Dallas 20. Stopped by Lockhart. Did roar. He got 5.
I think this is a big drive here. as a quarter finishes for both teams, because they can hold them to a field goal, then they're still within 7 points.
Wilson already over to the sideline to talk with the offensive coordinators. That's the end of the third quarter with a score Minnesota 28, Dallas 24. We now pause for a word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Sears, where there's more for your life. Honda, maker of the Civic hatchback. And by Prudential Bates Securities, rock solid, market wide.
Minnesota against Dallas and a quarter left at Texas Stadium. 28-24, Vikings lead. Second down and 5 at the Dallas 18. The handoff is to Nelson. Hit and thrown backwards by Ed Jones. 4 yards. It'll bring up 3rd and 1.
I think right now is where the Cowboys start playing with that urgency, because, as we said yesterday, you could just feel it that, you know, you can always say mathematically you can do this and you can do that, but I think they all feel that if they don't win today, that they don't have a chance for the playoffs. Conversely, if they do win, then they have a real good shot.
3rd and 1. Allen Rice hit short of the first down, a loss of 2. And the Vikings will have to go for the field goal. Diassi was the man who made the hit.
Watch this defense here in these white shirts coming down the line, making the cutback, forcing them into the cutback, and then everyone just scraping off that thing. A lot of bodies being hurled in there.
Coleman will hold. Nelson to try the field goal from 33 yards away. Kick is good by Chuck Nelson. So now with 13:33 left to play, it's Minnesota 31, Dallas 24. Cowboys have gotten 14 points off turnovers. Darren Nelson has 117 total yards for the Vikings, and Danny White has thrown for 2 touchdowns and 164 yards. Getting set for the Minnesota kickoff. And John, what sort of philosophy do the Dallas Cowboys have now on offense?
Well, I think that was a big defensive series by him there, because where they were able to hold off the touchdown, now they were 4 points down, and they needed a touchdown. Now, because they held them, they still only need a touchdown to tie them. I think that's what the Cowboys have to think. They have to think in terms of 1 score, coming up with a tie, then going for the win. Of course, the Vikings, right now, when you get that 7-point lead, you just want to get all over these guys.
Yeah, that's what they've been doing very well on defense. They've held Herschel Walker and Tony Dorsett very much in check. Line drive kickoff comes to one of the up men. That's Timmy Newsom, who gets it back to the 35. 10-yard return. Danny White returns. 13:26 left to play. 31-24. Minnesota leads Dallas.
You know what's such a big part of this football today is a crowd. I think right now what the Vikings want to do by swarming and not letting them get anything out of here, they can quiet this crowd. Conversely, if the Cowboys can get a play, then this place will really jump.
Here's Herschel Walker. Looking for some place to go and finding a little bit of room. And he picks up 5 before Jesse Solomon stopped it. Temperature when the game began was 55 degrees. Sort of a damp cold, but not bad at all.
I wonder when these people that come to a 3 o'clock game, I wonder when they eat Thanksgiving dinner. Must be a night deal, huh?
Either that or it's their breakfast.
That's a possibility.
You got a turkey going to Washington.
I got one waiting after the game. back into that turkey and start eating it.
Here's White back to throw. With some protection for a while. Doug Martin finally breaks it down. That's the 6th sack of Danny White.
It was interesting. Doug Martin said that he really wanted to beat the Cowboys, not because it's such a big game, he said, but also because of the strike. He felt that during the strike, too many of the Cowboys came back in. The Vikings didn't have any players come in. And he said that we'd like to beat them just because it's a game, but we'd like to beat them for the strike. I don't know. I mean, he's playing pretty well.
Yes, he is.
You know, sometimes they talk before the game, and they don't always do it.
3rd and 13. There are still some lingering memories. Don't be fooled. White gets it to Newsom. It won't be enough for a first down. They'll have to punt. He picked up 7. He did well to get anything out of it. Jesse Solomon made the stop on Newsom.
It was said the Viking defense had to go after and get all over him, and they were all over Danny White on that play. That was a defensive series at that time that the Vikings needed.
Saxon will punt now with 11 and a half minutes left to play. The Vikings up by a touchdown. Are down in a hurry. Jesse Penn and Bill Bates. So Minnesota takes over after a 32-yard punt by Saxon. 11:24 left to play.
Now, especially now, you need an investment firm that is rock.
This will be Thanksgiving John Madden style as they head right after the game to Washington, where our game is Sunday. Willie Arbor, the driver. And as you go back to the luxurious area, there's the bird.
That's a bird. And you see what's sitting right beside the bird? There's a football.
That's dessert.
That's right. And we're going from here to Washington for the Redskin-Giant game. Those are the only 2 things you need. There's a turkey to eat and a football to throw. What else a guy need?
Not much. Nelson, left side, chased down by Eugene Lockhart. Picked up 8 yards nevertheless.
Working over there on Darrell Smith. Yeah, he's the guy, of course, that is blocking Chris Dolman today, and I think he really did a pretty good job.
He's the one that took Mark Tuinay's place after only 1 or 2 plays. And as you say, he's done a good job.
That's tough for a rookie to have to come in a game like this and then play against a guy like Dolman, who's a big pass rusher.
2nd down. Enough for a first down. A gain of 5 by Finney. Here's Danny White over on the phone in front of the Dallas bench, talking with the offensive coordinator, Paul Hackett.
And they know what they're talking about. Probably to get the ball to Herschel Walker and probably some first down passing. And of course, you talk about all the situations. You talk about what you do on first down and what you do your next long yardage, what you do with next goal line. Because they have to be thinking in terms of a touchdown.
1st and 10 Vikings. Now under 10 minutes remain. Wilson, the quarterback, going for Carter, who has it in front of Walls and down at the 1-yard line. Anthony Carter has made some acrobatic catches today. That's the latest one.
He can get up in the air and turn his body. In fact, he looked on that play like he still can't believe it. Although it could be because he wanted the touchdown too. But watch his throw and watch Anthony Carter get position, get up in the air, keep Everson Walls to his back, and still catch that ball. Look at the pocket here now. The way Wade Wilson, because he has good pass protection, he can step up. And because he can step up, he can get full velocity on the ball. But it's great having Anthony Carter on the other end of it.
Carter's caught 6 passes for 153 yards and 2 touchdowns. 1st and goal at the 1.
What I think they could be looking at that, and maybe that's another touchdown. But I'll tell you, here he is right here, just against Walls. He comes down here, right up there. Good pass protection in the middle. And again, that's the thing that lets Wade Wilson step up. Watch Carter out here. He gets outside of him. Now he just runs beyond him. Wade Wilson, because he can step up, can lead him out to the front of him. And then I don't know how the official comes up with spotting the ball there.
They're reviewing in the replay booth whether it's touchdown or whether it's where they spotted it.
Well, Anthony Carter has already had 2 touchdowns today. Now it's after he's touched. I mean, after he catches the ball, is he touched?
After review by instant replay, the play was ruled dead in the booth on the 3-yard line, not the 1-yard line. 3-yard line.
Yeah, you see what they're saying is that Everson Walls touched him when he had the ball on the 3-yard line.
So he went to the ground as a result of the contact with Walls. That's Allen Rice. Down at about the 1-foot line.
Did you see number 72, David Huffman, come flying over that pile?
He hit Everson Walls and knocked him about 8 yards in the end zone.
There it is, right at the top of the screen. Watch him. He just jumps right over his guy. Walls is standing there, and he sees a purple jersey come flying at him.
Tough series for Everson Walls. About a foot away. Touchdown. Rick Finney. Over the left side from a yard out.
You have to give that touchdown to Wade Wilson and Anthony Carter. And their pass protection, here they get it in. Watch, good drive blocking on that left side. There is a little penetration, but Finney's able to get outside that penetration and find a soft spot outside. That guy's big enough in the old days. Remember, guards were that big,
That's
240
right.
pounds.
Coleman holding Nelson for the extra point. Minnesota now leads 38-24. 8:24 remaining at Texas Stadium. Both teams have all 3 timeouts remaining, but Minnesota in command. Work the bowl picture. It'll be Alabama against Auburn. Auburn ranked 7th. That's tomorrow live at 2:30 Eastern time here on CBS. Minnesota 38, Dallas 24 with 8:24 left to play. Vikings trying to shut the door and ensure a playoff spot for themselves, and the Cowboys desperately hoping they can pull off a miracle and maybe keep their hopes alive. Kelvin Martin at the 11. Flag on the play. Martin had an alley, almost broke it. Returned at 20, but they'll bring it all back.
Yeah, you realize these Vikings with 6-1 with their regular players, you wonder, had there not been a strike, where they would be. I mean, would they be the best record in the NFL?
Personal foul, blow to the head, 15 yards from this spot, and it'll be first down.
That's Jesse Penn twice with the blows to the head now.
Well, that's the same thing. I think what he was thinking, you know, the first time we saw him do that, he was just playing off a block. And then the second time he hit to the head. So I don't know if this is the same type of thing where you play off your block on the shoulders, then you get up to the head, and you can't hit him in the head again.
So it's 1st and 10 Cowboys at their own 12-yard line with 8:15 left to play. Tony Dorsett down the backfield. White fumbles the exchange from center and is down by Stafford Mays before he can get anything done. Again, that's a new center.
Yeah, that's George Lilja in there. He's a bigger guy than Tom Rafferty, and he's been playing more and more. as a center. Usually they use Lilja on the run downs, and they bring Rafferty in on the pass downs or the shotgun down. But anytime you get a different center with a quarterback, then you're going to have problems.
7 sacks, 3 hurries, 1 knockdown, and forced 2 fumbles. And Danny White's been intercepted 1 time, so they've given him a long, hard afternoon. Almost intercepted by Joey Browner, and that would have been 6.
I'll tell you, there's a player, Joey Browner. I think that, you know, when you talk to the Viking coaches and players and so on, that they feel that this guy could very well be the best player in their team. I mean, he's their Pro Bowl player, and their defense as a safety, he's an impact player.
Tremendous strength in his hands and arms. 3rd and 13 from the 9. White in the end zone. Caught by Mike Renfro. Tackled by Isaac Hope. Good effort by Renfro.
That was something by Renfro, the way he went up in the air, because Isaac Holt was right there with him. You watch him as Holt's going to come in there. The ball goes up in the air. Holt's there. The ball's there. And you talk about having strong hands. Renfro got up there and just plucked that thing right out of the air.
He has said this is going to be his last year. His father was a great player, mostly with the Browns. Here's Danny White back to throw. For Barksdale. Another first down up to the 47. Scott Stockwell back there to make the stop. But the clock is running with 6:45 now remaining.
Well, the Cowboys are going to have receivers. They'll lose Mike Renfro, as Tom Landry said about Barksdale, that he has all the talent, but he's just an inexperienced guy, and it's going to be time. And if they can get Mike Sherrard back. We saw him yesterday. He has a cast on his leg and a metal plate in there. He still has to have surgery to have the plate taken out.
First down, Cowboys. White going deep to Walker, and he's got it. Herschel Walker out of bounds at the 10-yard line. Bugamos on the tackle. Stafford Mays hit White just as he let it go.
Number 24 is Wyman Henderson. He's really running stride for stride with him, but when he looks back at the ball, he loses a step, and that's when Herschel Walker caught it. That was a pretty good throw, though.
Led him away from the defender, everything. Just inside the 10-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal from there. 6:14 left to play. Cowboys and Vikings both have all 3 of their timeouts left. Of Walker, and incomplete.
This guy is a one-man gang, isn't he? You look at rushing yards and say, yeah, but he didn't gain 100 yards. But when you add up both of those, you know, that's a full day's work. When a guy can make 160, and then, you know, if this thing keeps going, he can have a couple 100 yards.
2nd down, just inside the 10. Beg your pardon, the ball's at the 14. Here's White back to throw. Up into the pocket. Renfro, touchdown. As they drag him back out of the end zone, the Cowboys react. Here come the flag. I didn't see who was dragging Renfro out of the end zone.
It was Joey Browner. You're talking about how strong his hands were. He just picked up Renfro and pulled him back out of the end zone. That upset the Cowboy offensive team, and they all came swarming down to the goal line. Good pass protection. Danny White can see, can step up, hits Renfro. Watch, Renfro breaks the plane there. Watch, the play's over. Joey Browner picks him up, carries him back out, and dumps Wilson back outside. Renfro's the first guy up in there. Buck 68
On the tackle, unsportsmanlike conduct. On the defense, half the distance to the goal.
All against the defense against Joey Browner.
Yeah, we said he was strong. You see, he just picked up Mike Renfro by the seat of the pants. Just whirled him right out of the end zone.
I'll tell you what, too, John, when the Cowboys got there, he didn't back away either.
Oh, you ought to get 8 points for a play like that. Renfro should. That ought to be worth more than 6 when you dive in, you knock back out, you fight. You ought to get some points.
That would change the complexion of the game.
He's padded up like a linebacker.
Rizek. The extra point is good. 38-31 now. Here it is again.
Renfro, he gets that ball across the plane, and look, he thinks it's all over. Like a whirling dervish.
Kerr trying to finish things off. Pat Summerall here with John Madden. We're at Texas Stadium, and the score is Minnesota 38, Dallas now 31. A penalty will be given to Dallas on the kickoff, so they'll kick off from the 50-yard line. 6:04 left to play. Both teams have all their timeouts remaining.
This is a time, if there were less time to go, this would be a good time for an onside kick. But I think with the time that we have remaining here, I don't know that you would want to take that chance.
They're plotting something. Ruzek hadn't come out yet. He's still over talking with Tom Landry and Emerson Wall.
See what happens is you're kicking off from the 50, so if you try an onside kick and don't make it, they'll get the ball in the 40. So if you kick it into the end zone or down, they're probably going to get it on the 20 anyway. So what you're doing is you're gambling 20 yards of field position for the opportunity to get the ball right back.
Looking at the Viking return team, one of the guys in their front line is their third quarterback, Rich Gannon. You don't see that very often.
Oh.
They can go short. He fair catches the kickoff. You don't see that one very often either. Fair catch of a kickoff, which is certainly legal. Alan Rice is the man who did it.
Well, you can do that, and I think what they're thinking is that the coverage was going to get down there. You can fair catch the kickoff. Again, now they have the ball on the 8-yard line, though. I think he thought that the coverage team was closer than they were.
5:59 now left to play. First and 10 Vikings at their own 9. Wade Wilson, the quarterback. Ron Francis is back at cornerback. Handoff is to Darren Nelson, chased by Jones, and hammered after a gain of perhaps 2 at the 11.
I just checked the intensity meter here, and the level in this fourth quarter has gone up 22 decibels.
Can you draw that?
You can just feel that. You talk about the urgency and what this game means, and the bigness of this game. You can feel it now in the play in the field.
2nd and 8. This crowd really has come to life. Crowd of over 54,000. It was not a sellout. Here's Nelson. He's hit by Mike Hegman at the 15. It'll bring up the 3rd and 5. Eugene Lockhart also on the tackle.
This is a tough position for the Vikings because you're backed up and you would like to get out and get some first downs, but you don't want to open up because you can't afford a turnover here. So So you hate to be conservative, but you just about have to be.
Danny Noonan comes in and Randy White goes out. Keep everybody fresh if you can. Leo Lewis, the man in motion. Here's Wilson. Incomplete. Intended for Nelson. Evan Brooks again put the pressure on Wilson.
That was a poor throw by Wilson. He short-armed that one. I think he got a little, it was a little too tense. And that's where tenseness shows up in a quarterback. Not in the long ones, but in the short passing.
Coleman right at the goal line. Kelvin Martin back deep for Dallas. Trying to set up a return, and this is another line drive. And it could be. Martin gets back to the 48. Joey Browner to make the stop on the return. A 43-yard punt and a return of 5 by Martin. Clock stops on that change of possession with 4:23 remaining.
What Tom Landry has been talking about this whole time is just this. Get them, hold them on defense, get good field position. Now we have plenty of time. 4 minutes, 23 seconds. So time isn't important, but we need a touchdown. We can't get a field goal now. We need a touchdown, tie them up, then go for the win.
Dorsett is the lone setback. He gets the handoff right side, nothing there. Maybe a yard. Scott Studwell made the stop, and the clock now continues to run.
The other thing you realize here is that you're in a 4-down area, because I think once you're inside the 50, you're probably not going to punt the ball anymore when you're down by 7. So you're thinking in terms of 4 downs to get a first rather than 3 downs.
2nd and 8. White back to throw. Gets it upfield to Newsom. Newsom hit from behind, short of a first down. A gain of 7. It'll be 3rd and about a yard. Chris Dolman brought him down.
I think Newsom made one cut in there that he wished he hadn't, because he looked like had he turned it up the first time, he could have gotten a first down. Again, they bring Tom Rafferty back in there. They want to make sure of that snap.
3rd down and about 2 make it. Throw. Gets it out to Barksdale. Barksdale struggling to get out of bounds, and he does. Henderson made the stop, and that is enough for the Dallas first down, a pickup of 18.
Barksdale is going to come all the way across from left to right. Danny White's looking. He sees Barksdale. He can lead him to the outside. Barksdale has that good speed, but he couldn't get past Wyman Henderson. Barksdale, again, didn't play football in high school or college, so as we watch here, he's getting learning this game.
He's getting some of that experience. First down, Dallas at the Minnesota 26. Drop play to Newsom. Newsom inside the 20 to about the 18, a gain of 8. 2:40 left on the scoreboard clock now. Isaac Holt, Steve Freeman made the stop on Newsom.
Jimmy Newsom's the type of guy you always tend to forget. You know, there's Herschel Walker in the backfield, or Tony Dorsett, and all that. And there's Newsom's always a fullback, who every game seems to come up with a big player.
Sure does. 2nd down and 2. The ball's at the 18. 2:15 left to play. White has Renfro, touchdown. Steve Pallure holding. That would tie it at 38.
Again and see who is the closest guy to him. See, Danny White's looking to the left for Herschel Walker. He finds Renfro. Now watch the spike. Right in front of Joey Browner. He said, you put me in the end zone, hold me out. How about that? Here's Renfro here. He's going to come here, and as he comes in here, there's no coverage. The corner stays out, and he's wide open in this area. Everyone here, they go and they double Herschel Walker back here.
I don't know what happened to Isaac Hope, the cornerback.
Well, he doesn't run in with him. The safety goes for Herschel Walker, so that leaves Renfro wide open. And that's the guy. Part of it was Danny White. That's what he's telling Renfro there. He said, I was looking for Herschel. I was looking him off. And then Renfro came wide open.
White is now 22 out of 35 for 304 yards and 4 touchdowns. 3 to Renfro, 1 to Walker, and he scored the other one himself. Ruzek to kick off. Neil Gugamus back deep for Minnesota. 5 plays it took the Cowboys to tie it up at 38. Still, the Vikings have 3 timeouts remaining and over 2 minutes left to play. Mike Larkey is the up man who took the kickoff from Ruzek. Puts the Vikings not in bad shape. Ron Burton. Well, the playoff picture is always complicated. Right now it's 38-38. And look at the people who are watching with interest.
Well, all those teams below Dallas, Green Bay, Philadelphia, St. Louis, and everything, all have to be rooting right now for the Cowboys.
First down, Minnesota at their own 38. Wilson back to throw. Has time now. Is flushed out of the pocket. Pass complete. Leo Lewis made the reception. A gain of 22, and they get into Dallas territory. That's the 2-minute warning. Actually, it's 1 minute and 54 seconds. And the Vikings just trying to get in field goal range. And then the CBS Sunday movie, Gandhi, Part 2. The conclusion of 2 parts. Gandhi is an Academy Award-winning Best Picture starring Ben Kingsley. That's tonight on CBS. First and 10, Vikings at the 40. Wade Wilson back to throw, chased under pressure and down. The boys had ever a big sack. Eugene Lockhart.
I think every time they bring Lockhart, and you're going to see him, he's here in the middle. They hardly ever bring him on a blitz. But when they do, they always get pressure with him. That time, Jeff Rohr is also coming. But usually when Lockhart's in there, they don't. You see the center is coming out again to block the outside linebacker. Now, whether Lockhart read that or was going anyway, I don't know. That's the second time they caught him.
Second down and 23. Back at the 47 now. No blitz this time. Wilson gets it out to Darren Nelson. Covered by Mike Hegman. A gain of 5. And he gets out of bounds to stop the clock with 1:14 remaining. Timeout Minnesota now. He evidently did not get out of bounds, so they had to burn a timeout. 38-38. The senior producer for the NFL on CBS is Charles Milton. This game produced so capably by Bob Sinner, Robert. Directed by Sandy Grossman. And the rest of our group. We like to work on holidays.
I'll tell you, it sure is something to, have all the guys, and then we really have our Thanksgiving the night before, like we did last night, and that's always one of the things we look forward to each year with all these guys who are really the tops.
Plus, they all make speeches.
Yeah, well, that's good too. Then play a little cards, whatever.
3rd and 18, the ball at the Cowboy 48-yard line. Minnesota now with 2 timeouts remaining, a minute and 14 left in the contest. Unless we have overtime. Wilson is chased out of the pocket again. Gets it back up the field, incomplete, intended for Leo Lewis over his head. Randy White limps off the field. And it's 4th down, and they put in the punting unit.
Watch them near all going out. They have that stunt where the tackles work out, the ends work in. Watch Randy White take off. He gives Wade Wilson a pop, and as he does, it looked like he gave his right ankle a pop.
And he limped off. Here's Coleman. This is a good kick. And signal for, and in finally to the end zone. 48-yard punt. Randy White pointing to his right knee.
It looked like it happened just as he went to make that hit on Wade Wilson. Like he went to pop him and something popped in him.
Like he stepped on his other foot. And popped something.
I can smell an overtime mixed in with that turkey smell.
That's that good aroma you talked about a couple of weeks ago.
There was a whiff in the air.
Yeah. 56 seconds left to play for Dallas. They have the ball at their own 20, and they have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. Andy White to Renfro. First down at the 32. What a day he's had. Gain of 13.
And that's coming off a week, and the Vikings, watch that film. They played Monday night. The Cowboys against Miami didn't complete a pass to a wide receiver. So the Vikings are probably thinking, hey, they don't even throw to those guys.
It's interesting the way Tom Landry said the Cowboys have been playing this game so long, how they prepare. He said, we prepare for 10 days. We started 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and then they have coaches working on the game plan, so the game plan was ready after the Sunday night game.
Out of bounds, incomplete. Renfro was the nearest Cowboy there. He just didn't have time to get it to him.
That was a good pass rush by the Vikings because Renfro just stopped and was standing on the sideline wide open.
38-38 with 47 seconds left to play. Well, that's a little different from last week, huh?
Yeah, and that's just the second half. In the second half, they came out and they threw 11 times to the wide receiver. Of course, still don't go much to the tight end.
2nd and 10. Out of the spread. Screen pass up the middle to Walker. Walker out of bounds. Did not get the first down. Isaac Hope knocked him out of bounds after a gain of 5. 3rd down and 5 at the 38.
There's Nate Newton. He was coming in, started having a great year in training camp in the beginning of the season. Jim Erkenbeck, the new offensive lineman, thought he was really doing well. He got hurt in that Giant game, remember? During the strike, he had a scope, arthroscopic surgery, and he's come back and he's playing, but he's not what he was coming out of training camp.
They said he was their best lineman when they started the season. Viking blitz. Pass intercepted. Yes. By Isaac Hope. A diving interception. 34 seconds left to play. The Vikings will take over.
Watch Isaac Hope here. Watch him stretch out. He gets the jump. Just lays out and gets the ball right at the end of his fingertip. Forget the coverage. That's a great catch. Does he have both feet inbound? One knee equals 2 feet.
Or whatever part of the anatomy. 6 remaining. Dallas now takes one, and they only have 2 left.
Of course, what Dallas is defending now is a field goal, and that's what the Vikings are going for. They need about a completion of about 12 to 15 yards to get in that field goal range.
Tommy Kramer started at quarterback for the Vikings. Hurt his arm, and Wade Wilson has taken over. Chuck Nelson has a career-long field goal of 53 yards. So as John Madden said, they need a completion of about 15 to get him in that range. Don't forget, coming up Sunday here on CBS, the NFL. Here is our doubleheader schedule. Green Bay against Chicago. Philadelphia, New England. New Orleans, Pittsburgh. St. Louis, Atlanta. Those are the early games. And then the Giants, Washington, or Tampa Bay against the Rams. Young and I'll be in Washington for the Redskins and the Giants. 1st and 10, the ball at the 48. Nelson almost picked off as it bounced off his hand by Ron Francis. 2nd and 10.
It's interesting that the Cowboys have blitzed from their 4-0 defense very little. Look at that huddle there. They have a separate huddle for the defensive backs and linebackers and a separate huddle for the linemen.
2nd and 10, the ball at the 48. Randy White, by the way, is back in the game, so whatever happened to him wasn't too serious. Handoff is smothered right at the line of scrimmage to Anderson by Kevin Brooks. A loss of 2. Timeout, Minnesota. 1 left.
I think they were trying to fool him there, thinking that they would get the Cowboys in that big pass rush and they'd be able to slip Anderson right by him. Of course, Kevin Brooks was on a rush and he just went right into him. I don't know about that call. You know, it's easy to second guess and say you wouldn't have done it, but if I were at the 50 and I had 2 shots, a 2nd down shot and a 3rd down shot, I would want them both to be the forward pass.
Not fooling them.
No, I think I would pass protect him and get back there and throw it because, as I said, the Cowboys really haven't been blitzing. It's just a 4-man rush.
Minnesota, 1 timeout remaining. Dallas 2, 25 seconds left, 38-38 the score.
Randy White went over to talk to his coach, Ernie Stottner. I'd like to have a mic on that conversation.
Anthony Carter split wide to the left. Leo Lewis and Hassan Jones to the right. Wilson looking at a 4-man rush. Back he is to throw, and now chased out of the pocket again. Here's Lewis open, and Lewis dives out of bounds, and they're in field goal range. 18 seconds left to play. A 22-yard pickup.
Well, that one you have to give to the Viking offensive line. As I said before, they have to get this pass protection down. They gave Wilson an opportunity. Then he could run to his right a little and buy another opportunity. And at the end of that, he finds Leo Lewis wide open on the sideline.
Now, they still have 1 timeout left. Clock is stopped now with 18 seconds left to play. 38-38. Touchdown in the backfield is Alfred Anderson. And timeout, Minnesota.
Watch Too-Tall Jones here. He's starting out like he's going on a pass rush, and he realizes it's not a pass, so he works back down the line on the run defense. I think they lost. Did they lose on that?
Yeah, he lost a yard.
Yeah, that'll just make it 1 yard longer for Chuck Nelson.
Nelson's longest, 53 yards. Minnesota out of timeouts. Dallas still with 2. In comes Nelson. Ball should be about 45, 46 yards away, maybe. So it's certainly not a chip shot. There is no such thing in a situation like this. 6 yards out with Coleman holding. No good. No good. Seconds left.
Tom Landry was talking to it.
Seconds remain. Wide right.
Shot there.
Now will they just run it out?
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Yes, they do.
We'll go to overtime. They'll take a 3-minute break, and then it'll be just like we start to play again. Send somebody to the bus to put the turkey back in the oven, John.
I think they go together. Turkey and overtime. Thanksgiving.
They'll toss the coin, a 3-minute break. 2 timeouts per team. It'll be a 15-minute period. Sudden death. The first score wins it. If they're still tied at the end of that 15-minute period, it'll go in the books as a tie.
This is the coin. Heads, tails, heads, tails. Who's going to call it, please? In the air. Heads is called. Heads it is.
You take the ball.
Vikings won the toss, and Tommy Kramer didn't hesitate. He wants the ball. So they'll take a little break, and we'll be back for 15 minutes of overtime or until someone scores. 38 apiece.
You know, there's always that argument that in sudden death, if the team that receives scores, should the other team get the ball again? And of course they didn't. So everyone realizes when you get into sudden death, when you get into overtime, that the flip is a big deal.
So theoretically, if the Vikings take the ball and move it and get a field goal on this drive, that's the end of it, and Dallas never gets a shot.
The tough thing about this, remember, this is coming off a short week, that these guys have to be tired coming into this game, worn down a little, and then to play in overtime on Thanksgiving Day is a tough deal.
Ruzek's kick goes to Gugamon. On the 5. With room. Drops the ball. Bounced right back to him. Michael Downs knocked him out of bounds. Last Thanksgiving game I did in overtime was in Detroit, and they returned the kickoff all the way for a touchdown to win it. Whoop.
That is something, isn't it? How that ball bounces up. Only on artificial turf. That's his Thanksgiving Day present, that bounce.
If he hadn't come back up with it, he might have been the turkey. Wade Wilson, the quarterback. Back to throw on first down. Gets it outside, caught by Carter. And out of bounds in Dallas territory. Gain of 9 or 10, close to first down yardage. Ron Francis on the coverage.
Well, you see, Carter just beats him there with that quickness on the out. He gives him the stutter step, then out. And the thing you notice about Anthony Carter, he always has that one step coming back to the ball.
What a day he's had. Almost had a third touchdown, wouldn't you, though? Wilson gives for the first down to Rick Finney over the right side. And they move after a gain of 4 into Dallas territory to the 46. We're in overtime. Score tied 38-38.
We saw Ernie Stautner talking to Michael Downs there. Michael Downs is a guy who makes the calls in the secondary and the adjustments. And of course, again, they're doing the same thing. They got to prevent, not a touchdown, you got to prevent a field goal here.
Good protection. Pass is incomplete, intended for Darren Nelson, who was covered by Jeff Rohr.
I think when I get down now to 2nd and 3rd down, I would try and find Anthony Carter again. I know he's already caught 7 passes working over there on that left side, but if I had 2 shots, 2nd down, I'd take 2nd down and I'd throw it to Carter, and I'd come back 3rd down and I'd throw it to Carter again.
You got to give this Viking offensive line some credit too. They've kept the Cowboy rush away from Wade Wilson. The last couple of series, he's had a lot of time. Flag down. Pass is complete to Finney, and Finney is down to the 14-yard line. Stopped by Emerson Walls, but there's a penalty marker back down at the line of scrimmage.
The biggest play here is what's the call?
I think you know by now.
Offense, number 20. Holding. 10 yards, still 2nd down.
Ooh.
You can call that on Darren Nelson, number 20. Had to be in there to pick up a blitz, but that would have been the game-winning play there. I think Mike Hegman came on a blitz from the left side, and Darren Nelson, if they blitz, he has to stay in there. You can see it on the right-hand part of the screen. See him blocking Hegman right there, and I guess he grabbed him on the leg.
When he got inside of him, he had to hold. Wilson has a man wide open, and he dropped the ball. Carter, nobody close to it. Look at Jerry Burns.
Now that's just driving crazy. There's the guy you're going to look for. He's wide open on the side. You just had a penalty that called it back, and now you have a guy drop one wide open.
Ooh.
I tell you, that will drive a coach to ulcers. Look at this. Anthony Carter, I think, was so wide open he couldn't believe it. He was looking down the sideline to see if he was going to score a touchdown.
3rd down and 20. Vikings at their own 45. Too tall Jones, and they get the screen pass out to Alfred Anderson, and he drops the ball. Same thing. He was looking up the field.
I'll tell you, that was something. The Vikings had a penalty, called one back. Anthony Carter dropped one, and now Anderson does this. The Vikings have to be thinking, what do we have to do? The Cowboys are thinking we're lucky on that series.
Elvin Martin back deep, and Greg Coleman to punt for Minnesota. Off the side of his foot. Takes a Dallas bounce and goes out of bounds at the Cowboy 37-yard line. Boy, what a series that was for Minnesota.
That'll give the coach a bend.
Jerry Burns said during the week, hey man, somebody asked him something about his team and about how he was feeling, and he said, hey man, I feel good just to be 60 years old. I wonder if he still feels that way after that series.
Well, that's good going.
In overtime, 38-38. Here's Herschel Walker over the left side and stopped at the line of scrimmage. This has to rank right up there with the game in 1974 when Roger Staubach got hurt and Clint Longley came in and beat Washington.
George Allen still talking about that one. He said they had double coverage on the play.
Hit Drew Pearson, and George Allen kept saying, Longley, what's a Longley?
We were doubling him.
2nd and 11. Lilja is the center. Cosby is on the move. White back to throw. Rim throw. Away from one tackler. To the Minnesota 43. He got away from Joey Browner. who has now got him by the face mask and picking him up again.
Hey, this has been some day for Mike Renfro. As we said earlier, this is going to be his last year, and he's going to make this last one a good one. Hey, when they give out the balls, the game balls on this one, Mike Renfro sure has to get one. Anthony Carter on the other side.
And he and Danny White will split it. Barksdale wide left. Renfro is out to the right. Hand off to Walker. Walker to the 40. Pick up 4. Stopped by Stafford May. Those last 3 plays in that disastrous Minnesota drive, if you can call it a drive. Carter dropped a pass, Anderson dropped a pass, and then Greg Coleman got off an 18-yard punt.
And the play before that one, before that started, was the worst one of all, where there was a holding penalty when they got the ball all the way down inside the 20.
Second and 6, Walker is split wide right. Newsom behind it, Danny White. Picked off. The Vikings get it right back. Picked off by Scott Studwell. And there was no one even near him. In spite of Danny White's day and the sensational yardage he's had, he still hears the boos from the crowd.
Yeah, that could be one of those that just slipped out of his hand. He's looking in the middle there. He gets a rush. There's no receiver in the area. I have no idea what he was looking at.
Could be one of those things where he doesn't have that feeling in his wrist
and just trying to get it on the other side of the rusher.
Anderson and Nelson in the backfield. Nelson spun down at the 40 by Kevin Brooks and Randy White. Out of 41, 341 yards, 4 touchdowns, but 3 intercepted for Danny White.
I think the way he looked at that hand, he said, I just didn't feel it. Like he's explaining there what happened. Just came out that way.
Second and 7. Lewis, the man in motion. The handoff is straight ahead to Finney, who just pulls his way for 4 yards, bringing up a third. Stopped by Lockhart.
There's a defense over there talking. If they don't score here and the Cowboys get the ball again, what they're going to do. This has been a long day to have to take on the road.
9:55 left in overtime now. 3rd down and 3. You throw it. Finney over the right side by Alfred Anderson. Stopped as he veered left, but got the first down. Stopped by Rohr. A pickup of 6.
Hey, that 3rd down, that was good blocking over there to get that corner so that Anderson could pick up that first down. Big Gary Zimmerman over there, the left tackle, did a nice job of moving Jeffco.
6'6" and 280. 1st and 10 Minnesota at midfield. We're in overtime. The handoff is to Nelson. He's got some blockers. But the pursuit caught him for no gain. Ed Jones made a good play. And he's asking for help now.
I think Ed Jones hurt himself. He raised his hand on that play. Maybe it's just being tired.
Could be.
You know, playing 2 games in 3 or 4 days. Watch Too Tall Jones. He's up there in the top. He just waits for that cutback. And there he is.
He made a good play. Don Smerrick has replaced Too Tall Jones. 2nd down and 10 still. Wilson to Carter. Carter slipped 1 tackle, another, and almost another as he gets inside the 30. Everson Walls finally got him down. A pickup of 19, and now they're back in field goal range.
Well, you can see Carter here. Most of his passes have been outside and up. And here he's just catching a slant right in front of Michael Downs. Downs misses, another miss. Then by the time they finally get him down, Everson Walls gets him. They're down just about the 25-yard line. They're in field goal range now. They can play safe.
1st and 10 at the 26. That's what they'll do. Right side is Spinney. Down to the 25. Pickup of 2. Downs on the stop, excuse me.
No, I was just saying an interesting thing that I always like to do was maybe run on first, run on second, and then take a shot at the end zone on third. And if you don't make it, then kick the field goal, because that way you get a two-way go. You get a two-shot at it.
Chuck Nelson stretching those leg muscles on the sideline. 2nd and 8. Too tall Jones back in the contest. Lewis in motion. Hand off to Nelson. And Darren Nelson. Touchdown, and that's it. He might get a game ball, too. That one.
From the I formation, just lead man blocking, cuts back, finds just a little hole there, missed tackle, and then right here, touchdown.
Minnesota wins it 44-38 in overtime. Some contest.